When Diana Reeves picked up the phone that rainy Tuesday night, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. A journalist was calling with questions about a secret she'd kept for 27 years. A secret about Michael Jordan. A secret so powerful that it could destroy everything she'd built. You see, Diana wasn't Jordan's girlfriend or his wife. She was something else entirely. Something that Jordan had paid her to never, ever talk about. For almost 3 decades, Diana lived with this weight on her shoulders. She couldn't tell her friends. She couldn't tell her daughter. She couldn't even tell her dying mother the full truth. Every time someone asked her how she became successful, she had to lie. But now, a reporter had found proof. Documents, photographs, financial records that showed what Jordan had been hiding since 1995. And Diana had a choice to make. Keep lying and protect Jordan's secret, or finally tell the truth and risk losing everything. What Jordan did change Diana's life when she was just 15 years old. But it also trapped her in a promise she never thought she'd have to break. A promise that made her question everything she'd ever accomplished. And here's the twist. Diana wasn't the only one. There were others. People whose lives Jordan secretly changed. People who've been living with the same burden, the same lies, the same fear of being discovered. But the biggest secret? The one that nobody knew until now? It has to do with why Jordan did all of this in the first place. And when you hear the reason, it'll break your heart. Watch until the very end of this video, because the final revelation, the secret that Jordan has never told anyone, will completely change how you see one of the greatest athletes of all time. This isn't just a story about charity. It's a story about guilt, redemption, and a promise made to a father who would never hear it. Let's go back to where it all started. March 19th, 1995, Chicago, Illinois. A 15-year-old girl named Diana Reeves was about to have the best birthday of her life. She had no idea it would also become the secret she'd carry for the next 27 years. Diana was poor, really poor. The rain drummed against the windows of Diana Reeves's art gallery like tiny fingers asking to come inside. It was 6:30 on a Tuesday evening in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Diana was doing what she did every night before closing, walking through the gallery one last time, making sure each painting hung straight, each sculpture sat just right on its pedestal. She loved this quiet time. The gallery was empty. The soft lights made the artwork glow. Outside, people rushed through the rain with umbrellas and briefcases, heading home from work. But inside, Diana felt peaceful, safe. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. Diana almost didn't answer it. She didn't recognize the number. These days, unknown numbers usually meant someone trying to sell her something she didn't need. But something made her swipe the green button. Hello, Diana Reeves speaking. Ms. Reeves, my name is Marcus Webb. I'm a journalist with the National Sports Network. The man's voice was professional but friendly. I'm calling about a story I'm working on. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Diana's hand tightened on the phone. A journalist? About what? What kind of story? She asked carefully. It's about Michael Jordan, Marcus said. I'm investigating some charitable activities he was involved in during the 1990s. Activities he kept private. Very private. The gallery suddenly felt too warm. Diana's heart began to beat faster. She walked to the front door and locked it, flipping the open sign to closed. I don't know what you're talking about, Diana said. Her voice sounded strange to her own ears. Ms. Reeves, I have documents. Financial records from 1995. They show that Michael Jordan paid for your education at Chicago School of the Arts. He also set up a trust fund for your college expenses. Marcus paused. I know about the non-disclosure agreement you signed. I know you promised never to tell anyone about his help. Diana felt dizzy. She leaned against the wall, her free hand pressed to her chest. 27 years. She had kept that promise for 27 years. Through high school, through college, through her wedding, through her divorce, through every gallery opening and every success. She had never told anyone the truth about how her life had changed. Ms. Reeves, are you still there? How did you find out? Diana whispered. I've been researching this story for 3 years, Marcus explained. There are others like you. Other people Mr. Jordan helped secretly. I have photographs, interviews, documentation. I'm planning to publish the story next month. I wanted to give you a chance to tell your side, to explain what his help meant to you." Diana's mind raced. She thought about the NDA she'd signed when she was 15 years old. She thought about Michael Jordan's serious face as he made her promise to keep his gift a secret. She thought about all the reasons he'd given her, how people would say she didn't earn her success, how he'd be flooded with requests he couldn't fulfill, how it would stop being about her talent and become about his fame. "I can't talk to you," Diana said. "I signed a legal document. I made a promise." "I understand," Marcus said gently, "but Ms. Reeves, I'm publishing this story whether you participate or not. I already have enough evidence. The question is whether you want your voice included, whether you want to control your own narrative." "Mom?" Diana jumped. She'd been so focused on the phone call that she hadn't heard her daughter come down the stairs from the apartment above the gallery. Lily stood there in her school sweatshirt and jeans, her backpack slung over one shoulder, looking at her mother with concern. "Mom, are you okay? You look really pale." Diana realized her hands were shaking. I need to take this call. Can you give me a minute, sweetie?" Lily nodded slowly, her eyes worried. She was 16, almost the same age Diana had been when everything changed. When Michael Jordan had walked into her life and opened doors she never dreamed could open, Diana turned away from her daughter, lowering her voice. "Mr. Webb, I can't make any decisions right now. This is a lot to process." "I understand," Marcus said, "but I need to know soon. I'm contacting everyone on my list this week. My deadline is tight." "Give me your number," Diana said. "I'll think about it, but I'm not making any promises." Marcus recited his number. Diana wrote it on the back of a gallery brochure with a trembling hand. They hung up without saying goodbye. For a long moment, Diana just stood there, staring at the phone number. The rain continued its endless drumming. Somewhere in the back of the gallery, the old heating system hummed and clicked. "Mom?" Lily's voice was closer now. "What's going on? Who was that?" Diana looked at her daughter. Lily had her father's dark hair, but Diana's eyes, brown and curious and kind. She was a good student, a talented artist in her own right. Next year, she'd start at the Rhode Island School of Design, the same college Diana had attended, the same college Michael Jordan's money had helped Diana afford. How could Diana explain this to Lily? How could she tell her daughter that the foundation of their comfortable life, the gallery, the apartment, the college fund, all of it traced back to a secret promise made in a basketball arena 27 years ago? "It's nothing, honey," Diana lied. "Just someone asking about an art piece." But Lily knew her mother too well. "Mom, you're shaking. That wasn't nothing." Diana set the phone down on the front desk. She needed to think. She needed to figure out what to do. But first, she needed to see something she hadn't looked at in years. "I'll tell you later, Lily, I promise. Right now, I just need a few minutes alone, okay?" Lily hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but Mom, whatever it is, you can tell me. You know that, right?" Diana hugged her daughter tightly. "I know, baby. I know." After Lily went back upstairs, Diana walked to the small office at the back of the gallery. She closed the door and pulled a chair over to the storage closet. Standing on it, she reached up to the top shelf where she kept old files and forgotten boxes. Her fingers found what they were looking for, a worn shoebox with a faded Nike logo on the side. She pulled it down, climbed off the chair, and sat at her desk with the box in her lap. Diana hadn't opened this box in 5 years, maybe longer. She'd kept it hidden, knowing that looking inside would bring back memories she'd worked hard to move past. Not bad memories, wonderful memories, actually, but memories that hurt, because they reminded her of what she could never talk about. She lifted the lid. Inside was a photograph, yellowed and bent at the corners. It showed a young Diana, just 15, standing next to her mother, Patricia, outside the United Center in Chicago. They were both smiling, wearing their best clothes, though Diana could see now how worn those clothes had been. Her mother's dress had been mended at the hem. Diana's own sweater had holes in the elbows that she'd tried to hide. That was the night of the basketball game. The night everything changed. Beneath the photograph was a ticket stub. Chicago Bulls versus Indiana Pacers, March 19, 1995. Section 327, row 12. The nosebleed seats. The best seats Diana's mother could afford after months of saving. and beneath the ticket stub was an envelope. The envelope Michael Jordan had given her on that last day in the United Center, the one with his private phone number inside, the number she was supposed to call only in case of serious trouble. Diana had never called it, not once in 27 years, not when her mother got sick, not when her marriage fell apart, not when the gallery nearly went bankrupt during the recession. She'd kept her word. She'd handled her own problems. She'd proven to herself, and to Michael Jordan, wherever he was, that she could stand on her own. But now, holding that envelope, Diana wondered if this qualified as serious trouble. The phone call from Marcus Webb changed everything. If he published his story, her promise would be broken whether she participated or not. The secret would be out. People would know. They'd look at her differently. They'd question every success she'd ever had. Was she really a talented artist? Or was she just the girl Michael Jordan felt sorry for? Diana's hands moved to the last item in the box, a letter. She'd written it years ago, maybe 10 years after that night at the United Center. She'd never sent it, but writing it had helped her sort through her feelings. The letter began, "Dear Michael." Diana unfolded the old paper, yellowed and creased from being folded and unfolded so many times. She read her own words from the past. "Dear Michael, I don't know if I'll ever send this letter. Probably not, but I needed to write it. You've been on my mind lately. I graduated from college last month, Rhode Island School of Design, with honors. I have a job lined up at a gallery in Charlotte. Mom is so proud. She cries every time she talks about it. I want to thank you. I want to tell you that your gift changed my life. But I know I can't. I promised. Sometimes I wonder if you remember me. The skinny 15-year-old girl with the sketchbook full of drawings. Do you ever think about what happened that night? Do you ever wonder what became of me? I hope you know I didn't waste what you gave me. I worked hard. I earned my grades. I made my own way. Yes, you opened the door, but I walked through it on my own. Maybe that's what you wanted. Maybe that's why you made me promise to keep it secret. So I would always know that I earned everything that came after. If that was your plan, it worked. Thank you. I wish I could say it to your face, but I can't. So I'm saying it here. In this letter you'll never read. Thank you for seeing me when nobody else did. Thank you for believing I was worth saving. Thank you for changing everything, Diana." She folded the letter carefully and put it back in the box. Then she picked up the envelope with Michael Jordan's phone number. Diana stared at it for a long time. The rain had slowed to a gentle patter against the windows. Upstairs, she could hear Lily moving around, probably doing homework or sketching in her room. Should she call him? Should she warn him about Marcus Webb's investigation? But what would she say? "Hello, Mr. Jordan, this is Diana Reeves. Remember me from 1995? Someone's about to expose your secret charity work." Would he even remember her? It had been almost 3 decades. Diana slipped the envelope into her pocket. She'd decide later. Right now, she needed to go upstairs and make dinner for Lily. She needed to act normal, even though nothing felt normal anymore. She put the shoebox back on the high shelf and turned off the office light. As she climbed the stairs to their apartment, Diana thought about Marcus Webb's words, "I'm publishing this story whether you participate or not." Her phone buzzed again. She pulled it out, half expecting Marcus to be calling back. But it wasn't Marcus. It was a text from her friend Rebecca, another gallery owner. "Dinner tomorrow. Need to catch up." Diana texted back, "Yes, I could use a friend right now." She didn't realize it yet, but she'd need more than a friend. She'd need courage. She'd need to make the hardest decision of her adult life. She'd need to choose between keeping a promise she'd held sacred for 27 years and taking control of her own story. But that night, standing in her kitchen while Lily set the table, Diana made pasta and tried to pretend everything was fine. "Mom," Lily said as they sat down to eat, "you're being weird. Are you sure everything's okay?" Diana looked at her daughter, this beautiful, talented young woman who didn't know that her college fund existed because a basketball legend had kept a promise to a 15-year-old girl. "Everything's okay," Diana said. But her voice cracked on the last word. Lily reached across the table and squeezed her mother's hand. "You're a terrible liar, Mom. But when you're ready to talk, I'm here." After dinner, after Lily went to bed, Diana sat alone in her bedroom. She pulled out the envelope again and stared at the number written in faded ink. Was this an emergency? Did this count as serious trouble? At 2 in the morning, unable to sleep, Diana finally made a decision. She wouldn't call Michael Jordan, not yet. But she would call Marcus Webb back. She would hear exactly what evidence he had. She would find out how many other people were involved. She would learn everything she could before deciding what to do. Because one thing was certain. The secret was coming out. The only question was whether Diana would help tell it or watch helplessly as someone else told it for her. She picked up her phone and sent a text to Marcus Webb's number. "This is Diana Reeves. I'll talk to you. But we do this on my terms. Call me tomorrow at noon." She hit send before she could change her mind. Then Diana walked to the window and looked out at the quiet street below. The rain had stopped. The streetlights glowed orange in the darkness. Somewhere in Chicago, in a mansion she'd never seen, Michael Jordan was probably sleeping peacefully, unaware that the secret he'd kept for 27 years was about to break wide open. "I'm sorry," Diana whispered to the empty night. "I tried to keep your secret. I really did." But even as she said the words, Diana realized something. Maybe it was time. Maybe 27 years of silence was enough. Maybe the world needed to know that greatness wasn't just about winning championships. It was also about the quiet kindness nobody ever saw. Diana crawled into bed, but she didn't sleep. She lay awake, thinking about a 15-year-old girl with a sketchbook and a basketball star who'd seen something in her worth saving. Tomorrow, everything would change again. Just like it had on that rainy night in March 1995, when Diana Reeves's life took a turn she never could have imagined. Diana couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she was 15 again. March 1995, Chicago. Back then, Diana lived in a tiny apartment on the South Side with her mother, Patricia. The apartment had 2 small bedrooms, a bathroom where the toilet always ran, and a kitchen with counters that were cracked and peeling. But it was home. Diana remembered lying in bed on cold nights, listening to the sounds of the city, car horns, sirens, sometimes shouting from the street below. She'd pull her thin blanket up to her chin and try to imagine a different life, a better life. Her father had died when Diana was 13, a car accident on his way home from work. One moment he was there, tall and laughing, always smelling like coffee and aftershave. The next moment, he was gone, just like that. A police officer at the door, her mother's scream, and everything changed. After Dad died, money became tight. Then it became scary. Patricia worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat. During the day, she cleaned hospital rooms at Northwestern Memorial. At night, she waited tables at a diner downtown. Diana often fell asleep before her mother came home and woke up after she'd already left for the hospital. Sometimes Diana would find notes on the kitchen table, leftover pizza in the fridge. "Love you, baby. Have a good day at school." Those notes were written on the back of unpaid bills. Diana learned not to look at the front of the paper. She didn't want to know how much they owed. But despite everything, despite the money problems and the grief and the exhaustion, Patricia never let Diana give up on her dreams. Diana had always loved to draw. Even as a little girl, she'd cover every scrap of paper she could find with pictures. She drew her family. She drew buildings. She drew dogs and cats and birds. She drew everything she saw and everything she imagined. Her father had encouraged her. "You're special, Diana," he used to say. "You see the world differently than other people. That's a gift." After he died, drawing became Diana's escape. When she drew, she wasn't the poor girl with the dead father. She wasn't the kid wearing the same jeans 3 days in a row because they didn't have money for laundry. She wasn't the teenager who sometimes went to bed hungry because there wasn't enough food. When Diana drew, she was free. At school, Diana was quiet. She didn't have many friends. Other kids had nicer clothes, more spending money, better lunches. Diana kept to herself, sitting in the back of classrooms with her sketchbook open on her desk. Her art teacher, Mrs. Chen, noticed her talent right away. "Diana, these are remarkable," Mrs. Chen said one day, flipping through Diana's drawings. "Have you thought about art school?" Diana had laughed, a bitter sound that didn't match her age. "Art school costs money. We don't have money." Mrs. Chen had looked sad. "There are scholarships, programs for talented students. But Diana knew better. Scholarships went to kids whose families could afford application fees and portfolio preparation. Scholarships went to students who could take expensive art classes and buy professional supplies. Scholarships didn't go to girls like Diana, who used cheap pencils and drew on the backs of old homework papers. Still, Diana dreamed. Late at night, she'd imagine herself in a real art studio with proper easels and quality paints. She'd imagine her work hanging in galleries. She'd imagine her mother not having to work 2 jobs anymore. Dreams don't cost money, sweetheart, Patricia would tell her. They cost courage. Diana loved her mother for saying that, even though they both knew it wasn't quite true. Dreams might not cost money, but making them real did. Basketball became Diana's other escape. She wasn't good at playing. She was too skinny, too uncoordinated, but she loved watching it. Especially the Chicago Bulls, especially Michael Jordan. Their old TV was tiny and the picture was fuzzy, but Diana didn't care. She'd watch every game she could, studying the way Jordan moved across the court, the way he seemed to fly, the way he made impossible things look easy. "Why do you like basketball so much?" Patricia asked one evening. They were eating dinner, ramen noodles with frozen vegetables mixed in. It was the 3rd time that week they'd had the same meal. Diana thought about the question. "Because it's beautiful," she finally said. "The way Jordan plays, it's like art, like watching a painting come to life." Patricia smiled. "Then draw it." So Diana did. She started filling her sketchbooks with basketball players. Jordan soaring through the air. Jordan shooting. Jordan celebrating. She drew him so many times that she could do it from memory. Her drawings got better and better. She learned to capture motion, to show movement on a flat page. She learned to draw emotion, the intensity on Jordan's face, the joy, the determination. "These are incredible, Mrs. Chen said when Diana showed her the basketball drawings. "Diana, you have real talent, real potential." But potential didn't pay rent. Potential didn't buy groceries. Potential didn't change the fact that Diana's best jeans had a hole in the knee, and her winter coat was too small, and her shoes had worn through soles that let in rain. Diana tried not to complain. She knew her mother was doing everything she could. Some nights, Patricia would come home from her waitressing shift and just cry from exhaustion. Diana would hug her and tell her it was okay, even though she was scared. What if they couldn't pay rent? What if they lost the apartment? What if they ended up on the street? Diana pushed those thoughts away by drawing. She drew until her hand cramped. She drew until she forgot to be afraid. On her 15th birthday, March 19, 1995, Diana woke up expecting nothing special. Birthdays were just another day when you were poor. Maybe her mother would make a cake from a box mix if they had the money. Maybe she'd get a card. That was enough. But when Diana came into the kitchen that morning, Patricia was sitting at the table with a huge smile on her face. "Happy birthday, baby." Diana rubbed her eyes. "Thanks, Mom. Sit down, I have something for you." Diana sat, suddenly nervous. They couldn't afford presents. Her mother shouldn't have spent money they didn't have. Patricia pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. Diana opened it. Inside were 2 tickets, Chicago Bulls tickets, real tickets to a real game at the United Center. "Mom!" Diana's hands shook. "How did you—" "We can't afford. I've been saving," Patricia said. Her eyes were bright with tears. "A little bit from each paycheck. Not much. Just $1 here, $2 there. I wanted to give you something special. Something to remember." Diana started crying. She jumped up and hugged her mother so hard that Patricia laughed. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." "It's not front row seats," Patricia said. "They're pretty far up, but you'll see the game. You'll see Jordan play in person." Diana didn't care where the seats were. She was going to see Michael Jordan play basketball, in real life. Not on a fuzzy TV screen, but actually there, in the arena, breathing the same air as her hero. The rest of that day at school, Diana could barely focus. She kept the tickets in her pocket, touching them every few minutes to make sure they were real, to make sure she wasn't dreaming. After school, she ran home and changed into her best clothes, a blouse that was only a little faded and a skirt she'd gotten from a thrift store. Patricia wore her church dress, the navy blue one with the mended hem. They took the bus to the United Center. Diana pressed her face against the window, watching the city roll by. She clutched her sketchbook to her chest. She'd brought it with her because she never went anywhere without it. Maybe she'd sketch the game. Maybe she'd draw Jordan right there in the moment. As they approached the arena, Diana's heart beat faster and faster. The United Center was huge and bright and beautiful. People streamed toward it from every direction, wearing Bulls jerseys and carrying foam fingers and shouting with excitement. "Come on," Patricia said, taking Diana's hand. "Let's go watch some basketball." They found their seats in section 327, row 12. Diana was right. They were way up high. The court looked tiny from up here, the players like action figures. But Diana didn't care. She was here, in the same building as Michael Jordan. When the teams came out to warm up, Diana gripped her mother's arm. "There he is, Mom! There he is!" Michael Jordan looked even better in person than on TV. He moved with grace and power, making layups look easy. The crowd went wild every time he touched the ball during warm-ups. Diana opened her sketchbook. Her hands were shaking with excitement, but she started to draw anyway. She sketched Jordan's profile, the curve of his jump shot, the way he walked with such confidence. "This is the best birthday ever," Diana whispered. Patricia kissed the top of her head. "You deserve it, sweetheart. You deserve every good thing." The game started. The Pacers were good, but the Bulls were better. Jordan scored again and again. Each basket made Diana's heart soar. This was magic. This was art. This was everything she'd imagined and more. In the third quarter, Jordan hit a three-pointer that put the Bulls up by 15 points. The crowd went crazy. Diana jumped to her feet, cheering along with everyone else. She was part of something bigger than herself. Part of this moment, this joy, this shared happiness. "He's amazing!" Diana shouted over the noise. Patricia was smiling so wide. "Look at you. You're glowing, baby." By the fourth quarter, Jordan had scored 55 points. 55. Diana had never seen anything like it. The Pacers couldn't stop him. Nobody could stop him. He was unstoppable. When the final buzzer sounded and the Bulls won, Diana felt like she could fly. She'd just witnessed greatness. Real greatness. The kind of greatness that made her believe that anything was possible. "Come on," Patricia said, as people started leaving. "We need to catch the bus home." But Diana was looking at her sketchbook. Her eyes went wide. "Mom, my sketchbook!" "What about it, honey?" "Left it under the seat." When I jumped up to cheer, they pushed against the crowd, trying to get back to their row. But security guards were already blocking the aisles, telling people they had to exit. "Please," Diana begged one guard. "I left my sketchbook. It has all my drawings in it, all my best work. Please, I need to get it." The guard shook his head. "Sorry, kid. Arena's closed. Come back tomorrow and check the lost and found. But move along, please." Diana felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. That sketchbook had 3 years of work in it. 3 years of drawings. 3 years of dreams captured on paper. And now it was gone. She started to cry. She couldn't help it. First, she'd had the best night of her life. Now, the worst thing had happened. Patricia put her arm around Diana's shoulders. "It's okay, baby. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll get it back." But Diana knew better. By tomorrow, the sketchbook would be thrown away or stolen. Those drawings were gone forever. As they walked toward the exit, Diana cried harder. All those pictures of Jordan, all those hours of work, gone. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so stupid. I should have held on to it." "You're not stupid," Patricia said firmly. "It was an accident. These things happen." They made it all the way to the main exit when someone called out behind them. "Wait, excuse me." "Lady with the blue dress." Diana and Patricia turned around. A security guard, a different one, older and kind-looking, was jogging toward them. His name tag read Raymond. "Did you lose a sketchbook?" Raymond asked. Diana's heart leaped. "Yes. Yes, I did." Raymond smiled. "Wait, here." He disappeared back into the arena. Diana grabbed her mother's hand. "Do you think he found it?" "I hope so, baby." They waited. 5 minutes passed, then 15. Other people streamed past them, heading home. Finally, Raymond emerged from a doorway. But he wasn't alone. Walking beside him, still wearing his practice gear, his number 23 jersey, was Michael Jordan. And he was holding Diana's sketchbook. Diana couldn't breathe. Michael Jordan, the real Michael Jordan, not on TV, not in a picture, but standing right there in front of her, was holding her sketchbook. Her mother's hand tightened on Diana's shoulder. Patricia made a small sound, like a gasp that got caught in her throat. "Are these yours?" Jordan asked. His voice was deeper in person, serious. He flipped through the pages of the sketchbook slowly, studying each drawing. Diana's mouth opened, but no words came out. She just nodded. Jordan looked up from the sketchbook. His eyes met Diana's. "How old are you?" 15, Diana stammered. "Today, it's my birthday." Something flickered across Jordan's face. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. He looked at Patricia. "You're her mother?" "Yes, sir," Patricia said. Diana could hear the nervousness in her voice. "I'm Patricia Reeves. This is my daughter, Diana." Jordan looked back down at the sketchbook. He turned another page, then another. He was looking at her drawings of him, dozens of sketches showing him playing basketball, jumping, shooting, celebrating. 3 years of Diana's careful work. "These are good," Jordan said finally. "Really good." Diana found her voice. "Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Thank you so much for getting my sketchbook. I thought it was gone forever." "Raymond told me about a crying girl who'd lost her artwork," Jordan said. "He said you were really upset. So I went back to your section and found this under seat 12. He held up the sketchbook. "When I looked inside and saw these drawings, I knew I had to meet the person who made them." Diana's heart was beating so hard she thought it might burst out of her chest. Michael Jordan had looked at her drawings. Michael Jordan thought they were good. Michael Jordan, her hero, was standing right in front of her talking to her. Jordan closed the sketchbook, but he didn't hand it back yet. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything," Diana said quickly. "Why basketball? Why do you draw basketball players?" Diana thought about her answer. She wanted to get it right, because basketball is beautiful. The way you move, the way you play. It's like art. When you're on the court, you're not just playing a game, you're creating something. Something that makes people feel things. She paused. "When I watch you play, I forget about everything bad in my life. I just see the beauty." Jordan was quiet for a moment. His expression was hard to read. Patricia spoke up. "My daughter is very talented, Mr. Jordan. She wants to go to art school someday. She dreams about it." "Art school is expensive," Jordan said, looking at Patricia. "Yes, sir," Patricia said quietly. "It is." Jordan looked at their clothes, Patricia's mended dress, Diana's worn shoes. Diana saw him noticing. She felt her face get hot with embarrassment. She wanted to explain that these were their best clothes, that they'd tried to look nice. But she couldn't find the words. "Come with me," Jordan said suddenly. "Both of you." Diana and Patricia looked at each other, confused. "Come where?" Patricia asked. "Just come. I want to show you something." Jordan started walking back toward the arena entrance. He looked over his shoulder. "Don't worry. You're safe. Raymond will escort you." Raymond smiled at them. "It's okay. Mr. Jordan does this sometimes. He's a good man." Diana didn't understand what was happening, but she took her mother's hand, and they followed Jordan back into the United Center. They walked through corridors Diana had never seen before. Areas marked restricted and players only. Other people stared as they passed. Janitors cleaning up after the game, security guards doing their rounds, a few Bulls staff members heading home. "Michael," someone called out, "you've got that Nike meeting in 20 minutes. "Cancel it," Jordan called back without stopping. "But," I said, "cancel it." They kept walking. Diana's legs felt shaky. What was happening? Where was Jordan taking them? Finally, they reached a door. Jordan opened it and led them into a small private room. There was a table, some chairs, a couch. Pictures of Bulls players hung on the walls. The room smelled like coffee and leather. "Sit down," Jordan said, gesturing to the chairs. Diana and Patricia sat. Jordan pulled up a chair across from them. He set Diana's sketchbook on the table between them. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Jordan just looked at Diana, his expression thoughtful. Diana felt like he was seeing right through her, seeing every struggle, every fear, every secret hope she'd ever had. "I'm going to ask you something important," Jordan said finally, "and I need you to be completely honest with me. Can you do that?" Diana nodded. "Yes, sir. Why do you draw?" Diana had already answered this question, but Jordan was asking again, like he wanted a deeper answer, a truer answer, she thought carefully. Her mother's hand found hers under the table, squeezing gently. "When I draw," Diana said slowly, I'm not the poor girl anymore. I'm not the kid whose dad died. I'm not the girl who wears the same jeans to school every week because we can't afford to do laundry more than once a month. Her voice started to shake, but she kept going. When I draw, I'm not hungry. I'm not scared about whether we'll lose our apartment. I'm not worried about my mom working herself to death just to keep us alive. Diana felt tears rolling down her cheeks, but she didn't stop. When I draw, I'm free. I'm the person I want to be instead of the person I am. And when I draw you playing basketball, I'm drawing someone who proved that you can be great even if you started with nothing. You show me that there's a way out, that there's hope. The room was silent. Patricia was crying softly beside her. Diana wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Jordan leaned back in his chair. He was quiet for so long that Diana started to worry she'd said something wrong. Maybe she'd been too honest. Maybe she'd shared too much. But when Jordan finally spoke, his voice was gentle. I know exactly what you mean. Diana looked up, surprised. Jordan continued. People see me now, and they think it was always easy. They think I was always Michael Jordan, superstar. But that's not true. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. My father worked 3 jobs when I was growing up. 3 jobs just to keep our family fed. My mother took in ironing to make extra money. We didn't have much. Diana couldn't believe what she was hearing. Michael Jordan had been poor. When I was in high school, I got cut from the varsity basketball team, Jordan said. Cut. They told me I wasn't good enough. I went home and cried in my room. I felt like a failure. But you became the best player in the world, Diana whispered. Because I didn't give up, Jordan said. Because I found something that made me feel free, just like drawing makes you feel free. For me, it was the basketball court. That was my escape. That was where I could be more than what people saw when they looked at me. Patricia spoke up. Mr. Jordan, I don't understand. Why are you telling us this? Jordan looked at Patricia, then back at Diana. Because I see something in your daughter. Real talent. Real potential. And I know what happens to talented kids who don't get chances. I know how many artists and writers and musicians and athletes never become what they could be because nobody gives them a shot. He picked up Diana's sketchbook and opened it again. These drawings, they're not just good for a 15-year-old, they're good, period. Diana should be in art school. A real art school where she can develop her gift. We can't afford that, Patricia said quietly. Shame colored her voice. I know, Jordan said. That's why I'm going to help. The words hung in the air. Diana wasn't sure she'd heard correctly. What? Jordan pulled out his phone, a fancy cell phone, the kind Diana had only seen in movies. He dialed a number and held it to his ear. Phil? It's Michael. I need you to do something for me tomorrow morning. He paused, listening. No, it can't wait. I need you to set up a meeting with the Chicago School of the Arts. And I need our lawyers there. And Susan Chen, the director of admissions. Another pause. Because I have a student for them. A talented student who needs a scholarship. He looked at Diana while he spoke. Her name is Diana Reeves. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Make it happen. He hung up. Diana's heart was pounding. Mr. Jordan, I don't understand. I'm going to help you, Jordan said simply. I'm going to make sure you can go to art school, not just high school. I'm going to set things up so you can go to college too. A good college. The best art college you can get into. Diana started crying again. Patricia put her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Why? Patricia asked. Why would you do this for us? Jordan's expression became serious. Sad even. Because I can. Because somebody should have helped me the way I needed to be helped, and they didn't. Because that sketchbook under seat 12 wasn't an accident. That was the universe telling me to pay attention. He leaned forward, looking directly at Diana. But I need something from you. Diana wiped her eyes. Anything. Whatever you want. I need you to promise me something, Jordan said. What I'm about to do for you, setting up your scholarship, helping with your education. You can never tell anyone about it. Not your friends. Not reporters. Not anybody. Diana felt confused. But why? Because if people know I did this, 2 things will happen. Jordan held up one finger. First, I'll be flooded with thousands of requests from people who need help just as much as you do. I can't help everyone. I wish I could, but I can't. And it would destroy me to say no over and over again. He held up a second finger. Second, and this is more important, if people know I helped you, they'll always say you didn't really earn your success. They'll say you only made it because Michael Jordan gave you a handout. They'll take away everything you accomplish and give the credit to me. Diana hadn't thought about that. But Jordan was right. If people knew, they'd always wonder if she was really talented or just lucky. This has to be about you and your talent, Jordan said. Not about me, do you understand? Diana nodded slowly. I think so. You need to promise me, Jordan insisted. You need to promise that you'll never tell anyone that I helped you. Can you do that? Diana looked at her mother. Patricia's face was wet with tears, but she nodded. If that's what Mr. Jordan needs, baby, then we promise. Diana looked back at Jordan. I promise I won't tell anyone. Say it out loud, Jordan said. The whole promise. Diana took a deep breath. I promise I won't tell anyone that you helped me. I promise to keep it a secret. Good, Jordan said. He stood up and extended his hand, first to Patricia, then to Diana. Be at the United Center tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Ask for Raymond at the security desk. He'll bring you to the meeting. As they shook hands, Diana felt like her whole world was spinning. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. Mr. Jordan, Diana said, I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. Jordan said, you just need to become the artist you're meant to be. That's all the thanks I need. Raymond appeared to escort them out. As they walked back through the corridors of the United Center, Diana kept looking back, making sure Jordan was real, making sure this wasn't a dream. Outside, the night air was cool. The parking lot was almost empty now. Diana and Patricia stood under a streetlight, both of them still crying. Did that really just happen? Diana whispered. I think so, baby, Patricia said. I think Michael Jordan just changed our lives. They walked to the bus stop, holding hands. Diana clutched her sketchbook to her chest. Inside were all her drawings of Jordan, drawings that had somehow led to this miracle. On the bus ride home, Diana pressed her face against the window and watched the city lights blur past. Tomorrow her life would change forever. Tomorrow, she'd walk through a door she never thought would open for her. But she'd made a promise to keep this secret, a promise that would follow her for the rest of her life. Diana didn't notice the man sitting 3 rows behind them on the bus. His name was Trevor Boyd, and he was a journalist who'd spent months investigating Michael Jordan's private life. He'd followed Jordan to the United Center that night, hoping to catch him doing something newsworthy. Trevor had watched through a window as Jordan talked to a crying teenage girl and her mother. He'd pulled out his camera and snapped several photos. Long-distance shots of Diana holding an envelope as she left the arena, images of Patricia hugging her daughter. Trevor smiled as he reviewed the photos on his camera. He didn't know what Jordan had given them, but it was clearly something important, something secret. What are you hiding, Michael? Trevor whispered to himself. He made a note in his phone. Diana Reeves, Chicago. Mother Patricia, find out more. But Diana knew none of this. She rode the bus home with her mother, both of them crying happy tears, neither of them knowing that someone had been watching. Neither of them knowing that 27 years later, those photographs would resurface and change everything again. Diana barely slept that night. She lay in her small bedroom, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment with Michael Jordan over and over in her mind. Had it really happened? Would he really help her? At 6 in the morning, she gave up trying to sleep. She got dressed in her best clothes again, the same outfit from the game. It was all she had. She brushed her hair until it shined. She wanted to look perfect for whatever was going to happen. Patricia was already awake, making coffee. Her hands shook as she poured it into 2 chipped mugs. Mom, are you okay? Diana asked. Patricia laughed, but it came out shaky. I'm terrified. Baby, what if this is a mistake? What if we misunderstood? What if? He said 9 a.m., Diana interrupted. He said to ask for Raymond. It's real. Mom, it has to be real. They took the bus back to the United Center, arriving at 8:30. Better to be early than late. Raymond was already waiting at the security desk, smiling when he saw them. Ms. Reeves, Diana, good morning. Mr. Jordan is expecting you. Follow me, please. Diana's stomach flipped with nervousness as they walked through the same corridors from last night. But this time, in daylight, Everything looked different, less magical, more real. Raymond led them to a conference room on the second floor. Inside, several people were already seated around a large table. Diana recognized Jordan immediately. He stood when they entered. "Diana, Patricia, come in. Please sit down." Jordan introduced the others. There was Mr. Harrison, a lawyer with gray hair and an expensive suit. There was Philip Chen, Jordan's business manager. And there was a woman named Susan Chen, no relation to Philip, who was the director of the Chicago School of the Arts. Susan smiled warmly at Diana. "I've heard you're quite talented." Diana didn't know what to say. She just nodded. Jordan sat back down. "Thank you all for coming on short notice. I'll get right to the point." He looked at Diana and her mother. "I want to set up a full scholarship for Diana at the Chicago School of the Arts, starting this fall. Not just for high school. I want to establish a trust fund that will cover her college education as well." Susan Chen nodded. "We'd be honored to have Diana in our program, Mr. Jordan. Based on what you've told me about her work, she sounds like exactly the kind of student we look for." "There's more," Jordan continued. "The scholarship needs to cover everything. Tuition, supplies, transportation, living expenses if needed. I don't want Diana or her mother to worry about money, ever." Diana felt tears pricking her eyes again. This was too much, too generous, too impossible. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. "Mr. Jordan, I've prepared the necessary documents. The scholarship will be established through an anonymous donor fund. Ms. Reeves and Diana will sign a non-disclosure agreement stating that they cannot reveal the source of the funding." Patricia spoke up. "How much? How do we explain this to people? Our neighbors, Diana's friends, they'll ask questions. You tell them Diana won a scholarship from a private foundation," Philip Chen explained. "Which is true. You just can't tell them that Mr. Jordan is behind it." Jordan leaned forward. "This is important. If word gets out that I'm doing this, it creates problems for everyone. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Patricia said. "But Mr. Jordan, I have to ask why. Why are you being so generous to us?" Jordan was quiet for a moment. His expression became distant, like he was remembering something painful. "My father died last year," he said finally. "Murdered. You probably heard about it on the news." Diana remembered. Everyone had heard about it. James Jordan, killed by two teenagers during a robbery. It had been all over the papers. "Before he died," Jordan continued, "my father and I had a fight. A bad fight." His voice grew quieter. "I was stressed about basketball, about the media, about gambling allegations. My father told me I needed to step back, to remember what was important. He said I was becoming someone he didn't recognize." Jordan's hands clenched on the table. "I told him he didn't understand. I said things I shouldn't have said. Terrible things. And then I walked away. That was the last real conversation we had. A fight. And then he was gone." The room was silent. Diana could see the pain on Jordan's face, raw and real. "After he died, I couldn't play basketball anymore," Jordan said. "The joy was gone. I retired because I couldn't find a reason to keep going. But the guilt was eating me alive." Susan Chen reached over and touched Jordan's hand gently. "Michael, you don't have to." "Yes, I do," Jordan said. "They deserve to know why." He looked at Diana. "My father always taught me to help people, to use my success for good, to be more than just a basketball player. And in our last conversation, I threw that back in his face. I told him that winning championships was more important than helping people." A tear rolled down Jordan's cheek. Diana had never imagined seeing Michael Jordan cry. "I came back to basketball this year," Jordan continued. "But I made myself a promise. I would honor my father by helping people, really helping them, not just donating to charities where I never see the results. I would find people who needed help, and I would change their lives." He looked directly at Diana. "When Raymond told me about a girl crying over her lost sketchbook, something clicked. When I looked at your drawings and saw how talented you were, I thought, this is it. This is how I honor Dad. This is how I make peace with what I said to him." Jordan wiped his eyes. "So you see, Diana, you're not doing me a favor by accepting this scholarship. I'm doing this for me, to prove to myself that I'm the man my father raised me to be. To prove that I learned the lesson he tried to teach me." Diana couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She sobbed openly. Her mother was crying too. "You weren't an accident," Jordan said. You were meant to be in that seat. You were meant to leave that sketchbook. You were meant to cry where Raymond could see you. This was supposed to happen. Susan Chen passed tissues around the table. Even Mr. Harrison looked emotional. After everyone had composed themselves, they went through the paperwork. Mr. Harrison explained each document carefully. The scholarship agreement, the trust fund details, and finally the non-disclosure agreement. This NDA is legally binding, Mr. Harrison said. You cannot tell anyone, not friends, not family, not reporters, that Mr. Jordan is funding Diana's education. If you break this agreement, all funding stops immediately and you could face legal action. Diana felt a chill. This was serious. This was real. Do you understand? Harrison asked. Yes, Patricia said. Diana, Mr. Harrison looked at her. I understand, Diana said. She signed her name on 3 different documents. Her hand was shaking so badly that her signature looked messy. But it didn't matter. She was signing her future. She was signing her dreams into reality. Patricia signed next. Then Jordan signed. Then Mr. Harrison and Philip Chen witnessed the signatures. Congratulations, Diana, Susan Chen said, smiling. Welcome to the Chicago School of the Arts. I'll need you to come by next week to tour the campus and meet with your counselor. We'll get you set up in our fall program. Diana nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Jordan stood up. There's one more thing. He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket. Inside, this is my private phone number. Not my business number, my personal line. He handed the envelope to Diana. You call this number only if you're in serious trouble. Life or death trouble. Do you understand? This isn't for saying hello or asking questions. This is for emergencies only. Diana took the envelope carefully. I understand. If everything goes well, we'll never speak again after today. Jordan said, that's how this has to work. I can't be part of your life. I can't check in or follow your progress publicly. You have to do this on your own. But, Diana started. This is important, Jordan interrupted. If I stay involved, people will figure it out. And more importantly, you need to know that everything you accomplish is because of your talent and hard work, not because I'm pulling strings behind the scenes. Diana understood, even though it hurt. She'd never see Jordan again. She'd never get to tell him how art school was going. She'd never get to show him her paintings or share her successes. Thank you, Diana whispered. I'll make you proud, I promise. Jordan put his hand on her shoulder. You already have. The meeting ended. Raymond escorted Diana and Patricia back to the main entrance. They walked out into the bright morning sunshine, both carrying folders full of paperwork that would change everything. In the parking lot, Patricia stopped walking. She pulled Diana into a tight hug. We're going to be okay, Patricia whispered. After all this time, we're finally going to be okay. Diana hugged her mother back, feeling the thin fabric of her mended dress, feeling how small and tired her mother had become from working so hard. You can quit one of your jobs now, Diana said. You don't have to work yourself to death anymore. Patricia pulled back, wiping her eyes. Maybe. We'll see. First, let's get you enrolled in that school. As they walked toward the bus stop, neither of them noticed the man sitting in a car across the parking lot. Trevor Boyd had been there since 8 a.m., watching. He'd photographed Diana and Patricia entering the United Center. He'd photographed them leaving, clutching folders and wiping tears from their eyes. Trevor zoomed in on the folders in their hands, trying to read any visible text. He couldn't make out much, but he didn't need to. Whatever Michael Jordan had given these people, it was big enough to make them cry. He started his car and followed the bus, staying several cars back. He followed it all the way to the south side, watching where Diana and Patricia got off. He wrote down the street address. Trevor had been investigating Jordan for 8 months now. He knew Jordan gambled. He knew Jordan had enemies. He knew Jordan was hiding things. But this, a secret meeting with a poor teenager and her mother, this was something new. What are you up to, Michael? Trevor muttered. What are you hiding? He took notes in his journal. Second meeting between Jordan and Diana Reeves. Lawyers present, documents signed. Mother and daughter both crying. Appears to be some kind of financial arrangement. Scholarship? Payment for silence? Need to investigate further. Trevor drove away, already planning his next steps. He'd find out everything about Diana Reeves. He'd find out what Jordan had given her. He'd find out the truth. But Trevor was a freelance journalist, and investigations took time and money. After a few months, when his leads went cold and no editor wanted to pay for the story, he filed his notes away. He kept the photographs in a folder labeled Jordan Unfinished. Someday, he told himself, this story would matter. Someday people would care. 27 years later, he'd be proven right. But on that spring morning in 1995, Diana knew nothing about Trevor Boyd, or his photographs, or his investigation. She rode the bus home with her mother, clutching the envelope with Jordan's phone number, dreaming about art school and a future that suddenly seemed possible. "Diana," Patricia said as they neared their stop, "you understand what this means, right? You can never tell anyone, not your best friend, not your future husband, not even your children someday. This secret is forever." Diana looked down at the envelope in her hands. "I know, Mom. I promised." "It's going to be hard," Patricia warned. "People will ask how you got into that fancy school. They'll wonder how we're affording it. You'll have to lie. Can you do that?" Diana thought about it. Could she spend her whole life lying about the most important thing that ever happened to her? Could she accept this incredible gift and never, ever tell the truth about where it came from? She thought about her father, dead 2 years now. She thought about her mother, working 2 jobs until her hands were raw and her feet ached. She thought about her tiny bedroom and her worn-out shoes and the constant fear of losing everything. And she thought about art school, about having a future, about making something of herself. "Yes," Diana said firmly, "I can do that. I'll keep the secret forever." Patricia squeezed her hand. "That's my girl." They got off the bus and walked to their apartment building. As they climbed the stairs to their unit, Diana heard their neighbor Mrs. Washington calling out, "Patricia, where you been so early?" Patricia smiled. Diana got some good news. She's been accepted to an art school on scholarship. Mrs. Washington's eyes went wide. "No kidding, that's wonderful. Diana, you must be so smart." Diana forced a smile. "Thank you, Mrs. Washington." It was her first lie, the first of thousands she'd tell over the next 27 years. Inside their apartment, Diana went to her room and sat on her bed. She opened the envelope Jordan had given her. Inside was a business card with a phone number written on it in pen. Nothing else. Just 10 digits that connected her to the man who'd changed her life. Diana put the card back in the envelope and hid it at the bottom of her desk drawer, under old-school papers and broken pencils. She never wanted to use it. She never wanted to bother Jordan or break the promise she'd made. But knowing it was there, knowing she had that connection, that safety net, made her feel less alone. Diana pulled out a fresh piece of paper and started to draw. She drew Jordan's face, trying to capture the sadness she'd seen in his eyes when he talked about his father. She drew his hands, signing the documents. She drew the moment when he'd put his hand on her shoulder and said, "You already have." When she finished, she looked at the drawing for a long time. Then she carefully tore it into small pieces and threw them away. No evidence, no proof, just a secret locked away in her heart. That was the day Diana Reeves learned that gifts sometimes come with a price, and that keeping a promise could be the hardest thing you ever do. Present day, 1 week after Marcus Webb's call, Diana sat across from Marcus Webb in a small coffee shop in downtown Charlotte. She'd chosen this place carefully, far from her gallery, where no one would recognize her. She needed privacy for this conversation. Marcus was younger than she'd expected, maybe 35, with kind eyes and a notebook already open on the table. A digital recorder sat between them, its red light blinking. "Thank you for meeting me," Marcus said. "I know this isn't easy." Diana wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, needing something to hold on to. "Before we start, I need to know, how did you find out? How did you get past the NDA?" Marcus pulled out a thick folder. 3 years ago, I was researching a different story about athletes and charity work. I interviewed a former Bulls staff member who mentioned that Jordan used to help people secretly. He didn't have details, just rumors. That got me curious. He opened the folder, showing Diana pages of documents, photographs, notes. I started digging. I found financial records that had been sealed but leaked during a lawsuit. I found a journalist named Trevor Boyd who'd been investigating Jordan in the 1990s. Trevor died 5 years ago, but his daughter sold me his research files. That's where I found these. Marcus spread several photographs on the table. Diana's breath caught. There she was, 15 years old, walking out of the United Center with her mother. Another photo showed her holding the envelope Jordan had given her. Another showed her and Patricia on the bus, crying. Trevor followed you that day, Marcus explained. He documented everything. He never published it because he couldn't prove what Jordan had given you. But now, with the financial records I found, I can connect the dots. Diana stared at the photos of her younger self. That girl looked so hopeful, so innocent. She had no idea that someone was watching. No idea that 27 years later her secret would unravel. Who else knows? Diana asked quietly. Right now, just you, me, and Trevor's daughter. But I've identified 4 other people Jordan helped the same way. Marcus pulled out more files. Carlos Martinez in Los Angeles, Keisha Williams in North Carolina, David Chen in Seattle. And one more I haven't been able to confirm yet. Diana looked at the names. She'd never known there were others. All these years, she'd thought she was alone in carrying this burden. Have you contacted them? She asked. Carlos and Keisha, yes. They both signed NDAs like you did. They're both scared about what happens if the story comes out. David won't return my calls. Marcus leaned forward. Diana, I need you to understand something. I'm not trying to hurt you or Jordan. This is actually a good story. Jordan has been secretly helping people for decades, changing lives without taking credit. That's beautiful. That's what people need to hear. Then why does it feel like a betrayal? Diana's voice cracked. I promised him. I gave him my word. I know, Marcus said gently. But 27 years is a long time to carry a secret alone. Don't you ever want to say thank you publicly? Don't you ever want the world to know that Michael Jordan is more than just a basketball legend? Diana thought about all the time she'd wanted to tell someone. When she graduated from the Chicago School of the Arts, top of her class, and couldn't explain how she'd gotten there. When she got into Rhode Island School of Design with a full scholarship. When she opened her gallery, when her mother died and Diana wanted to thank Jordan for giving Patricia those last years, knowing her daughter would be okay. What happens if I don't cooperate? Diana asked. I published the story anyway, Marcus said honestly. I have enough evidence. But without your voice, it's just facts and documents. With your voice, it's a human story. It's about gratitude and redemption and keeping promises. It's about what Jordan's gift meant to you. Diana closed her eyes. She thought about Lily, her daughter, who still didn't know the whole truth. She thought about her art career, everything she'd built. She thought about Michael Jordan and the sadness in his eyes when he'd talked about his father. If I tell my story, Diana said slowly, people will say I didn't earn my success. They'll say I only made it because Jordan handed me a scholarship. Will they? Marcus challenged. You attended art school for 4 years. You got into college on your own merit. You built a gallery from nothing. Jordan opened a door, but you walked through it and kept walking for almost 3 decades. Nobody can take that away from you. Diana wanted to believe him, but the fear was still there, cold and heavy in her chest. I need to talk to him first, Diana said suddenly. I need to talk to Jordan before I make any decisions. Marcus nodded. That's fair. Do you have a way to contact him? Diana thought about the envelope, still hidden in her home after all these years. The emergency number. Was this an emergency? Maybe, she said. Give me a few days. I can give you a week, Marcus said. My deadline is in 2 weeks. If you're going to be part of the story, I need your interview soon. They talked for another hour. Marcus showed Diana more of his research. Articles about Jordan's other charitable work, interviews with people who'd witnessed his kindness, financial records that prove the scholarship fund existed. There's something else, Marcus said as they were finishing. Trevor Boyd's notes mention another person. Someone Jordan helped but who doesn't know it. Trevor called it the ghost beneficiary. He never figured out who it was. Do you know anything about that? Diana shook her head. Jordan never mentioned anyone else to me. But the question stuck in her mind. A ghost beneficiary. Someone who received Jordan's help without knowing? They parted ways outside the coffee shop. Diana drove home in a daze, her mind spinning with everything she'd learned. At home, Lily was waiting. She'd made dinner, pasta with vegetables, one of Diana's favorites. "Mom, sit down," Lily said. "We need to talk." Diana's heart sank. "Lily, Mom, I know something's wrong. You've been weird all week. You're not sleeping. You're distracted. Please, just tell me what's going on." Diana sat down at the kitchen table. She looked at her daughter, this beautiful, smart, talented girl who was about to start her own art journey. Lily deserved the truth. "Remember that phone call last week?" Diana began. "The one that upset me?" Lily nodded, sitting down across from her. Diana took a deep breath. "I'm going to tell you a story. A true story that I've never told anyone. A story about a 15-year-old girl and a promise she made to Michael Jordan." For the next hour, Diana told Lily everything. The basketball game, the lost sketchbook, Jordan finding her, the meeting with the lawyers, the scholarship, the NDA, 27 years of keeping a secret. Lily listened without interrupting, her eyes growing wider and wider. When Diana finished, Lily was silent for a long moment. "Wow," she finally said. "Mom, wow. A journalist found out," Diana continued. "He's going to publish the story. I have to decide whether to participate or stay silent." "What does Mr. Jordan want?" Lily asked. "I don't know. I haven't talked to him since 1995. Lily stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the darkening street. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Anything. Do you think you earned your success? Honestly?" Diana thought about the question. "Yes, I do. Jordan gave me a chance, but I did the work. I earned my grades. I built my career. He opened the door, but I walked through it." "Then why are you afraid of people knowing?" It was such a simple question. Such a clear question. But Diana didn't have a simple answer. "Because," she said slowly, "people will judge me. They'll reduce everything I've done to the girl Michael Jordan saved. They won't see my work. They'll only see his charity." Lily turned around. "Mom, you taught me that art is about truth. You taught me to paint what's real, even when it's scary. Isn't this the same thing?" Diana felt tears welling up. Her daughter was right. "The truth is that Jordan helped you when you needed it most," Lily continued. "And the truth is that you took that help and built something beautiful. Both things are true. You can be grateful and successful at the same time." Diana wiped her eyes. "When did you get so wise?" "I had a good teacher," Lily said, smiling. She came back to the table and took her mother's hands. "Mom, I think you should call him. I think you should talk to Mr. Jordan before making any decisions. You've carried this secret for him for 27 years. You've honored your promise. Maybe it's time to ask if he's ready to let it go." That night, after Lily went to bed, Diana went to her closet. She found the old shoebox and pulled out the envelope. The business card inside was yellowed with age, the ink slightly faded but still readable. Diana stared at the phone number for a long time. Finally, at 2 in the morning, she picked up her phone and dialed. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Diana almost hung up. This was crazy. It was the middle of the night. Jordan had probably changed his number decades ago. She was calling a dead line, holding on to a connection that didn't exist anymore. Then someone answered. "This is Michael." Diana's breath caught. After 27 years, she was hearing his voice again. "Mr. Jordan?" Her voice came out as a whisper. This is Diana Reeves. You helped me in 1995. I'm so sorry to call this number, but Diana." Jordan's voice was warm despite the late hour. "I remember you. The artist. The sketchbook. What's wrong?" Diana started crying. She couldn't help it. Hearing him say her name, knowing he remembered her after all these years, it broke something open inside her. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm sorry for calling. I know this number was only for emergencies, but I didn't know what else to do." "Diana, slow down. Tell me what happened." She told him everything. About Marcus Webb. About the investigation. About Trevor Boyd's photographs. About the other people Jordan had helped. About the story that was about to break whether she participated or not. Jordan was quiet while she talked, only making small sounds to show he was listening. When she finished, there was a long silence on the line. "How's your mother?" Jordan finally asked. Diana's voice broke. "She passed away 3 years ago, cancer." "I'm sorry," another pause. "And you? Did you become the artist you wanted to be?" The question made Diana cry harder. "Yes, thanks to you, yes. I've had shows in 12 cities. My work is in 3 museums. I've taught art to hundreds of students. I have a daughter starting art school next year. She was sobbing now. You gave me everything, Mr. Jordan. And now I feel like I'm betraying you because I can't stop this story from coming out. Jordan's response surprised her. Diana, listen to me carefully. You haven't betrayed anyone. You kept your promise for 27 years. That's more than most people would do. But the story, let him publish it, Jordan said. Diana froze. What? Let Marcus Webb publish his story. Times have changed. I've changed. Maybe it's time for this to come out. But you said, I said those things in 1995 because I believed them then. I was younger, more protective of my image, more afraid. Jordan paused, but I'm 62 years old now, Diana. I've learned some things about legacy and truth. Diana wiped her eyes, hardly believing what she was hearing. The real reason I helped you, Jordan continued, his voice becoming emotional, the reason I've never told anyone. I need to tell you something I've kept hidden for 30 years. What is it? Jordan's voice cracked. My father and I had a terrible fight before he died, the worst fight of our lives. I said things I can never take back, things that haunt me every single day. Diana listened, her heart breaking for him. He wanted me to step away from basketball for a while, to focus on family, on giving back. He said I was losing myself in the fame and the pressure, and I told him, Jordan's voice dropped to almost a whisper. I told him that he'd never achieved anything great, so he couldn't understand what I was going through. Oh, Michael, Diana breathed. 3 weeks later, he was murdered. And I've spent every day since then trying to make up for those words, trying to become the man he wanted me to be. Jordan explained that helping Diana had been the first step. When I saw you crying over that sketchbook, I saw a chance to honor my father's memory, to prove that I'd learned what he was trying to teach me. That greatness isn't just about winning. It's about who you help along the way. Diana was crying silently, understanding now the weight Jordan had carried all these years. So you see, Jordan said, you weren't my charity case. You were my redemption. You and the others I helped. Each of you was a step toward forgiving myself. I had no idea, Diana whispered. Nobody did. But maybe it's time people knew. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Jordan's voice became stronger. Diana, I want you to cooperate with Marcus Webb. Tell your story. Tell the truth about how I helped you and how you built your career anyway. What about you? Diana asked. What will you say? I'll tell the truth too. About my guilt. About why I did this. Jordan paused. Diana, you kept your promise for 27 years. You're released from it now. Tell your story. Tell all of it. Diana felt like a weight she'd carried for decades was finally lifting off her shoulders. There's one more thing, Jordan said. Something I haven't told anyone, not even the other people I helped. The real secret isn't what I gave you. It's what I received. What do you mean? Meet me in Chicago next week. Bring your daughter. Bring Marcus Webb. I'm going to tell the whole story, the part even you don't know. What part? Diana asked, confused. The part about why I really started helping people in secret. The part about the person I could never tell. The part that might finally let me forgive myself. Before Diana could ask more questions, Jordan gave her details about when and where to meet. And Diana? Jordan said before hanging up, thank you. For what? For calling. For reminding me why I started this in the first place. For keeping your promise long enough for me to learn that some secrets need to be told. The line went dead. Diana sat in the darkness of her bedroom, holding her phone, feeling like the world had just shifted beneath her feet. Jordan was ready to tell the truth. After 30 years, he was ready to face his past, to expose his secret charity, to explain the guilt that had driven him to help strangers in the shadows. But what was this other part? What secret was bigger than the one she already knew? Diana called Marcus Webb the next morning. I'll do the interview, she said, but not just me. Jordan wants to meet with all of us, everyone he helped. He's ready to tell the whole story. Marcus was silent for a moment, then let out a low whistle. Are you serious? Michael Jordan is willing to go on record? Yes. Next week in Chicago. He'll tell you everything. Diana, Marcus said, his voice filled with excitement and disbelief. This just became the biggest story of my career. Diana smiled despite her nervousness. I know, And I think it's going to change everything again. Diana spent the next 3 days preparing for Chicago. But as she packed her bags and made arrangements to close the gallery for a few days, her mind kept drifting back through the years. 27 years of silence. 27 years of carrying a secret that had shaped every part of her life. She sat down with Lily one evening and tried to explain what those years had been like. It was hardest at the beginning, Diana said. They were sitting in the living room, photo albums spread out on the coffee table. Diana had pulled them out to show Lily pictures from her art school days. "See this?" Diana pointed to a photograph of herself at 15, standing outside the Chicago School of the Arts on her first day. She was wearing new clothes, the first new clothes she'd owned in years. "I was so happy that day, but also terrified." "Why terrified?" Lily asked. "Because everyone wanted to know how I got in." The Chicago School of the Arts was one of the best art programs in the country. Kids from wealthy families, kids who'd been taking private art lessons their whole lives. They were all there. And then there was me, this girl from the South Side who'd never had a real art teacher. Diana remembered that first day so clearly. The other students had looked at her with curiosity and suspicion. Who was this scholarship kid? Where had she come from? "A girl named Jennifer cornered me at lunch," Diana continued. "She asked me flat out, 'How did you get the scholarship?' My father donated $50,000 to this school and I barely got in. I had to lie to her face. I told her I won some essay contest. I made up the whole thing on the spot." Lily shook her head. "That must have been awful." "It was, but it got easier over time. I got good at lying." Diana flipped to another photo, her high school graduation. Patricia was standing next to her, beaming with pride. "By the time I graduated, I had a whole story memorized. Private foundation, anonymous donor, merit-based selection. I could recite it without even thinking." Diana's art teachers at the school had been amazing. They'd pushed her, challenged her, helped her grow as an artist. She'd learned oil painting, watercolors, sculpture, digital art. She'd studied art history and theory. She'd become the artist she'd always dreamed of being. But there was always a shadow over her success, always the knowledge that she hadn't gotten there on her own merit. Not entirely. Someone had given her this chance. Someone had paid for it. Someone whose name she could never speak. "What about college?" Lily asked. Diana smiled, pulling out more photos. "Rhode Island School of Design accepted me with a full scholarship. But this one I really earned myself. I applied with my portfolio, my grades, my essays. No help from anyone." She remembered getting the acceptance letter. She'd cried for an hour, holding the letter, reading it over and over. This time it was all her. This time no one could say she didn't deserve it. But even then, Diana said, people assumed Jordan had something to do with it. At least, that's what I was afraid of. So I never told anyone about my high school. I said I went to a public school in Chicago. I erased that whole part of my story. Lily frowned. "Mom, that's sad. You should have been proud of where you went to school." "I know, but I was so afraid of someone connecting the dots, afraid of someone asking the right questions and figuring out the truth." Diana's college years had been wonderful but lonely. She'd made friends, dated, studied hard. But she always kept people at arm's length. She couldn't let anyone get too close, couldn't let anyone know her whole story. She met Lily's father, James, in her junior year. He was studying architecture. They fell in love quickly, too quickly, maybe. Diana was so desperate for connection, so tired of keeping secrets, that she threw herself into the relationship. "Your father proposed right after graduation," Diana told Lily. "I said yes, even though part of me knew it wasn't right. I just wanted someone to share my life with, someone who could know the real me." "But you couldn't tell him about Jordan," Lily said. "No, I wanted to. So many times I almost did. But I'd made a promise." Diana looked at a wedding photo, herself at 22, James at 23, both of them so young. "Not telling him created this distance between us, this wall he couldn't understand. He used to say I was keeping secrets, and he was right. I was." The marriage lasted 8 years. They'd had Lily in the second year, and that had been the happiest time. But eventually, the distance grew too large. James felt like he was living with a stranger. Diana felt trapped by her own silence. "Your father was a good man," Diana said. "The divorce wasn't his fault. It was mine. I couldn't be fully honest with him, and that poisoned everything. After the divorce, Diana had thrown herself into her art. She started selling paintings at local galleries. She taught art classes to make ends meet. Slowly, she built a reputation. I was 29 when I opened my first small gallery, Diana said, showing Lily photos of a tiny storefront in Charlotte. It was just me and 3 other artists. We sold maybe 1 painting a month. But Diana was talented and determined. Her work got noticed. Critics praised her use of color, her emotional depth, her unique perspective. She started getting commissions. Bigger galleries wanted to show her work. By the time I was 35, I had enough money to open my own gallery, the one we have now. That was 7 years ago. Lily smiled. I remember, I was 9. You let me help paint the walls. You did a terrible job, Diana laughed. Paint everywhere. But I loved having you there. Diana's success had been hard-won. Every painting sold, every exhibition, every good review. She'd earned all of it. But there was always a small voice in the back of her mind asking, would you have any of this without Jordan's help? Would you even be an artist? The worst part, Diana said quietly, was when Mom got sick. Patricia had been diagnosed with cancer when Diana was 37. Stage 4. The doctors said she had maybe a year. I wanted to call Jordan so badly, Diana said, her voice breaking. I wanted to tell him that Mom was dying, that the woman he'd met, the woman who'd cried tears of joy in that United Center conference room, she was leaving us. Why didn't you call? Lily asked. Because he said only for emergencies, life or death. And I thought he meant my life, my death, not someone else's. Diana wiped her eyes. I was so stupid. I should have called. I should have told him. Patricia had lived for 18 months, fighting hard. Diana took care of her, painting in the hospital room while her mother slept. In those final weeks, Patricia had talked a lot about that night in 1995. Do you remember meeting Michael Jordan? Patricia had asked one day, her voice weak. Every detail, Diana had said. I think about it all the time, Patricia whispered. About how kind he was, about how he saved us. I wish I could thank him one more time. Me too, Mom. Diana, promise me something. Patricia had grabbed her daughter's hand with surprising strength. After I'm gone, if that journalist ever finds out, if the secret ever comes out, you tell the truth. You tell people what Jordan did for us. Don't protect him at the cost of your own story. Mom, I made a promise. Promises can be broken when circumstances change. The man who made you promise was grieving and guilty. Maybe he's different now. Maybe he's ready for people to know. Patricia had coughed, struggling for breath. Don't carry this alone forever, baby. Don't let this secret eat you up inside. Diana had promised, even though she didn't think the secret would ever come out. How could it? She'd been so careful. She'd kept her word. Patricia died 3 days later. At the funeral, Diana stood at the podium to give the eulogy, and she wanted so desperately to tell everyone the truth. To say, my mother's last years were peaceful because Michael Jordan gave us a chance, because one man saw us and decided to help. But she didn't. She kept her promise. Even at her mother's funeral, she kept the secret. I put flowers on her grave every week, Diana told Lily, and every time I apologize for not telling the truth at her funeral. I feel like I dishonored her memory by staying silent. Lily hugged her mother tightly. Mom, you were honoring your promise. Grandma would understand. Diana wasn't so sure, but she held on to Lily and cried, releasing years of grief and guilt and loneliness. The next morning, Diana received an email from Marcus Webb. He'd been in contact with the other people Jordan had helped, and they were all willing to meet in Chicago. Carlos Martinez had sent a message. I've been waiting 23 years to say thank you out loud. I'm ready. Keisha Williams wrote, my boys are grown now. They deserve to know the truth about how their mom got through nursing school. Count me in. Dave Chen was brief. Yes, I'll be there. Marcus also sent Diana a preliminary interview questionnaire. She sat at her desk in the gallery and went through the questions one by one. How did Michael Jordan's gift change your life? Diana thought about this. The obvious answer was that it gave her an education, a career, a future. But the real answer was deeper than that. It taught me that I mattered, she wrote. That someone saw value in me when I couldn't see it in myself. It taught me that kindness exists in unexpected places. and it taught me that carrying a secret, even a good secret, is one of the loneliest things in the world. Do you feel you earned your success, or was it given to you? Both, Diana wrote. Jordan opened the door, but I walked through it. I did the work. I earned my grades. I built my career painting by painting. Yes, I had advantages other people didn't have, but I didn't waste them. I honored his gift by becoming the best artist I could be. What would you say to Michael Jordan if you could speak to him today? Diana stared at this question for a long time. What would she say? After 27 years of silence, after a lifetime of carrying his secret, what words could possibly be enough? Thank you, she finally wrote. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for trusting me with your secret, even though it cost me pieces of myself to keep it. Thank you for changing my life. And thank you for teaching me that sometimes the greatest gifts come with the greatest burdens. And that's okay. That's what makes them matter. She sent the questionnaire back to Marcus and then sat quietly in her gallery, surrounded by her paintings. Every piece of art on these walls existed because of that night in 1995. Every color, every brushstroke, every moment of beauty. It all traced back to a 15-year-old girl with a sketchbook and a basketball legend with a guilty conscience. Lily came down from the apartment upstairs, backpack over her shoulder. Mom, I'm heading to school. Are you okay? Diana smiled at her daughter. Yeah, baby, I'm okay. Chicago is in 3 days, Lily said. Are you nervous? Terrified, Diana admitted, but also relieved. Like I've been holding my breath for 27 years and I'm finally about to exhale. Lily kissed her mother's cheek. I'm proud of you, Mom, for keeping your promise for so long, and for being brave enough to tell the truth now. After Lily left, Diana walked through the gallery one more time. She stopped in front of her favorite painting, a large canvas showing a young girl standing at the edge of a basketball court, looking up at the lights, holding a sketchbook. She'd painted it 5 years ago, calling it The Dreamer. People who saw it assumed it was just a nostalgic piece about childhood. But Diana knew the truth. It was a self-portrait. It was that night at the United Center, frozen in time, before everything changed. She'd never been able to sell this painting. Too personal. Too close to the secret. But now, looking at it, Diana thought, maybe after Chicago, I can let it go. Maybe after the truth comes out, I won't need to keep this reminder of who I was before Michael Jordan saved me. Her phone rang. It was Marcus Webb. Diana, I have news. Jordan wants to hold a press conference after our private meeting. He's going to tell the whole story publicly. Every major news network wants to cover it. Diana's heart raced. A press conference? He's serious about this. He wants the world to know. And he wants you, Carlos, Keisha, and David standing next to him when he tells it. Diana sat down, suddenly dizzy. This was really happening. In 3 days, her secret would be exposed to the entire world. There's something else, Marcus said. Jordan mentioned a fifth person, someone he helped who doesn't know about it. He says he's going to reveal that story too, for the first time ever. Who is it? Diana asked. He won't say. He wants it to be a surprise. Marcus paused. Diana, are you ready for this? Once this story breaks, your life will never be the same. Diana looked at the painting of her younger self. That dreamer with the sketchbook, standing on the edge of something bigger than she could imagine. I've been ready for 27 years, Diana said. I just didn't know it. She hung up and sent a text to Lily. Pack your bags, sweetheart. We're going to Chicago. And when we come back, everything will be different. Lily's response came immediately. Good different or bad different? Diana thought about it, about secrets and truth, about promises and freedom, about the weight she'd carried and the weight she was about to put down. Honest different, she typed back. Finally honest. The flight to Chicago was quiet. Diana and Lily sat in coach seats, both of them lost in their own thoughts. Diana watched the clouds drift past the window, remembering the last time she'd been in Chicago. That was over a decade ago for an art exhibition. She'd driven past the United Center but couldn't bring herself to go inside. Too many memories, too much emotion. Now she was going back, and this time she wouldn't be running away. Mark Webb had arranged for all of them to meet at a hotel near the United Center the night before the big meeting with Jordan. Diana and Lily checked into their room, modest but clean, and Diana immediately felt restless. "I need to walk," she told Lily. "Want to come?" They walked through downtown Chicago as the sun set. The city had changed so much since 1995. New buildings reached toward the sky. The streets were cleaner, busier, but some things felt the same. The energy, the noise, the feeling of possibility in the air. "Mom, look," Lily pointed. In the distance they could see the United Center. Diana's breath caught. Even from blocks away, even in the fading light, the arena looked magical. She remembered arriving there with her mother, both of them so nervous and excited. She remembered leaving with her whole life changed. "Do you want to go see it up close?" Lily asked. Diana nodded. They walked slowly toward the arena, not talking, just experiencing the moment together. When they reached the building, Diana placed her hand on the wall, cold concrete under her palm, real solid. This was where it all began. "Thank you," Diana whispered, though she wasn't sure who she was thanking. Jordan? The universe? Fate? Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "Everyone's gathering in the hotel restaurant at 7. Come meet the others." Diana and Lily returned to the hotel. In the restaurant, Marcus waved them over to a large table where 3 people were already sitting. Diana, Lily, meet Carlos, Keisha, and David. Carlos Martinez stood to shake Diana's hand. He was a big man, late 30s, with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "It's good to finally meet you. I've been following your career. You're really talented." "Thank you," Diana said, surprised. "You know my work? Marcus sent us all information about each other. I looked you up. Your gallery's website is impressive." Carlos smiled. "I'm an engineer now. I design bridges, but I wish I had artistic talent like yours." Keisha Williams hugged Diana instead of shaking hands. She was warm and energetic, with a bright smile. "Girl, I've been dying to meet you. We're like siblings, you know? Secret siblings who all have the same generous father." Diana laughed despite her nervousness. "I never thought about it that way." David Chen was quieter. He was older than the others, maybe early 50s, with gray streaking his black hair. He nodded at Diana respectfully. "Michael Jordan changed my life, but I've never been able to tell anyone. Tomorrow, that changes." They ordered food and began sharing their stories. Carlos went first. "I was 16, locked up in juvenile detention for gang activity," he said. "I wrote Jordan a letter. Don't ask me why. I just needed to tell someone that I wanted to be different, that I wanted out of that life." Carlos explained that Jordan had somehow received the letter and responded, not personally, but through lawyers. They'd arranged for Carlos to attend a special school for at-risk youth when he got out. Then a scholarship to UCLA, then a job recommendation at an engineering firm. "I signed an NDA just like you did," Carlos said. "I've spent 23 years building my reputation, proving I'm not just some gangbanger who got lucky. Proving I earned my degree and my career." "And you did," Diana said firmly. "You earned all of it." "I know that now," Carlos said, "but it's going to be hard when the story comes out. People will judge me. They'll say Jordan bought my redemption." Keisha shared her story next. She'd been a single mother of 2 boys, working 3 jobs, barely surviving. She'd tried to break up a fight at one of her son's basketball games, a game Jordan happened to be attending in disguise, watching young players. "I got hurt breaking up that fight," Keisha said. "Broken arm, concussion. I couldn't work. We were about to lose our apartment. Then suddenly this lawyer contacts me saying an anonymous donor wanted to help. They paid my medical bills and funded my nursing school education." Keisha wiped her eyes. "My boys are grown now, 23 and 21. They think their mama did it all on her own. Tomorrow they're going to learn the truth. I'm terrified they'll think less of me." "They won't." Lily spoke up. Everyone turned to look at her. "My mom just told me this whole story last week, and I don't think less of her. I think she's even more amazing. She took help when she needed it, then worked her butt off to make something of herself. That's strength, not weakness." Keisha smiled through her tears. "Thank you, sweetheart. I needed to hear that." David's story was different. He'd been a refugee from Vietnam, arrived in the U.S. with nothing. He'd started a small food cart in Chicago. One night, vandals destroyed his cart and stole his savings. "I wanted to give up," David said quietly, "go back to Vietnam, accept that America wasn't for me. Then a lawyer contacted me, said a donor wanted to help me rebuild. They set me up with a new cart, a better location, business training. Within 5 years, I had my first restaurant. Now I have 5. David looked around the table. I never knew why someone helped me. I thought maybe it was a Vietnamese-American charity group. I never imagined it was Michael Jordan. Marcus had been listening quietly. Now he spoke up. Jordan has helped dozens of people over the years through various charities. But you 4 are special. You're the ones he helped personally and secretly. The ones who signed NDAs. The ones he's kept track of all these years. He kept track of us? Diana asked. Marcus nodded. I found files at his attorney's office. Articles about your gallery openings, Diana. Carlos's bridge designs. Keisha's nursing awards. David's restaurant reviews. Jordan has been following all of you for decades. The table was silent. Diana felt chills running down her arms. Jordan had been watching. All these years, she'd thought she was completely on her own. But he'd been paying attention? Why? She whispered. I think tomorrow he'll tell us, Marcus said. They talked for hours, sharing memories, fears, hopes. Diana felt something she hadn't felt in decades. Connection. These people understood her in a way no one else could. They'd all carried the same burden, the same secret, the same gratitude mixed with guilt. Can I ask something? Carlos said as dinner wound down. Are any of you angry? Even a little bit? About having to keep the secret for so long? Diana considered this. Was she angry? Sometimes, she admitted. Sometimes I resented him for making me lie. For making me hide the most important thing that ever happened to me. But mostly I'm grateful. He changed my life. The secret was the price, and I paid it willingly. The others nodded in agreement. Tomorrow's going to be weird, Keisha said, seeing him again after all these years. What do we even say? Thank you, David said simply. We say thank you. They parted ways around 10 p.m., agreeing to meet in the hotel lobby at 8 the next morning. Marcus would drive them all to the United Center for the private meeting with Jordan. In their hotel room, Diana couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while Lily breathed softly in the bed next to hers. At 2 a.m., Diana gave up trying to sleep. She got up, went to the bathroom, and stared at herself in the mirror. She was 42 years old. Gray was starting to show in her dark hair. Lines creased the corners of her eyes. She looked tired but also free. Somehow, just being here in Chicago, knowing the secret was about to end, had lifted something from her face. Who are you? She whispered to her reflection. Are you Diana the artist? Diana the scholarship girl? Diana the woman who kept a promise? Diana the woman about to break one? All of those, she decided. She was all of those things. Diana pulled out her phone. It was 2:15 a.m., too late to call anyone. But she opened her photos and scrolled back through years of images. Lily as a baby, her wedding day, her mother smiling in the hospital, gallery openings, paintings, her whole life captured in thousands of pictures. And in every single one, Diana had been carrying the secret. In every smile, every achievement, every moment, the secret had been there, invisible but present. Tomorrow it would be gone. Diana went back to bed and finally fell asleep around 3 a.m. When she woke at 7, Lily was already up and dressed. Big day, Mom, Lily said. How are you feeling? Diana thought about it, scared, excited, relieved, terrified. All of it at once. They went down to breakfast. Carlos was already there, looking like he hadn't slept either. Keisha arrived next, her eyes red from crying. David came last, calm and centered as always. Marcus joined them with coffee. Jordan's assistant just called. He's ready for us. We're meeting at 10 a.m. in a private suite at the United Center. Just us, no press yet. He wants to talk to everyone first. Did he say anything else? Diana asked. Just that he has something important to tell you all. Something he's never told anyone before. At 9:30, they loaded into Marcus's rental van. The drive to the United Center took 15 minutes. Diana watched the city pass by, her heart beating faster with every block. When they pulled up to the arena, a security guard was waiting. You're expected. Come with me, please. They followed the guard through the same corridors Diana had walked 27 years ago. Everything looked different now. Renovated, modernized, but the feeling was the same. The sense of being backstage, behind the curtain, in a place where normal people didn't go. The guard led them to a suite with large windows overlooking the arena floor. Inside, sitting at a table, was Michael Jordan. He looked older, of course. His hair was gray. Lines marked his face, but his eyes were the same. Intense, focused kind. Jordan stood when they entered. Diana, Carlos, Keisha, David. He said each name carefully, like he was honoring them. "Thank you for coming." Diana felt tears immediately spring to her eyes. Seeing him again after all these years, hearing him say her name, it was overwhelming. "Mr. Jordan," she managed to say. "Michael," he corrected gently. "Please, we're past formalities now." They all sat down around the table. Jordan looked at each of them in turn. "I asked you here because you deserve to hear the truth directly from me," he began. "Not from a news story, not from a press conference. From me in private, before the world knows." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "I told Diana on the phone about my fight with my father, about the guilt I've carried. That's true. But it's not the whole truth." Jordan's voice began to shake. "The real reason I started helping people in secret, the reason I made you all promise to stay silent, was because I was ashamed." Diana leaned forward. "Ashamed of what?" "Of needing redemption so badly," Jordan said. "Of being so broken by my father's death that I couldn't function unless I was constantly proving myself. Of keeping score, like charity was just another competition I needed to win." Jordan pulled out a box from under the table, the same box Diana had seen him carry in her memory. He opened it, revealing files, photographs, newspaper clippings. "I kept files on all of you," he admitted. "Every success, every achievement, every milestone. I documented everything." He looked ashamed. "I told myself I was checking on you because I cared. But the truth is, I was keeping score. Every time one of you succeeded, I'd check it off in my mind. One more point toward forgiveness. One more achievement toward making up for what I said to Dad." Carlos spoke up. "Man, that's not—" "Let me finish," Jordan interrupted gently. "Please, you need to hear this," he continued, his voice heavy with emotion. "I made you sign NDAs not just to protect you or me. I did it because I was ashamed that my charity wasn't pure. Ashamed that I was using your lives to heal my own guilt. Ashamed that even my good deeds were really about me, about my pain, my redemption, my need to win at everything, even at being a good person." The room was completely silent except for the sound of Keisha crying softly. "So you see," Jordan said, "you weren't my charity cases. You were my therapy. You were the people I used to prove to myself that I could be the son my father wanted me to be." Diana found her voice. "Michael, you think you used us? You think your motives were selfish?" She stood up and walked around the table to stand in front of him. "I don't care why you helped me," she said firmly. "Maybe you needed redemption. Maybe you were working through guilt. But you know what? My mother died knowing her daughter had a future. I have a career I love. My daughter is going to art school debt-free. You gave me that. Whatever your reasons, you gave me that." Carlos stood next. "I would have died in prison or on the streets, man. You saved my life. I don't care if you kept a file on me." Keisha joined them. "My boys grew up with a mother who had a career, who could provide for them. That happened because of you." David stood last. "My family escaped poverty. My restaurants employ 60 people. You did that." One by one, they approached Jordan. And then, in a moment that made even Marcus Webb wipe his eyes, they all embraced him. Not as fans meeting a celebrity, not as beneficiaries thanking a donor, but as people forgiving another flawed person who'd tried his best to do good, even if his reasons weren't perfect. Jordan broke down completely, sobbing in their arms. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for understanding. Thank you for not hating me." "Hate you?" Diana pulled back, holding his shoulders. "Michael, you're human. Humans have complicated reasons for doing things. But the result is what matters. You changed our lives. That's real. That's what counts." They sat back down, everyone wiping their eyes. The tension in the room transformed into something else. Understanding, forgiveness, connection. "There's one more thing," Jordan said after everyone had calmed down. "One more person I need to tell you about. The one Marcus asked about. The ghost beneficiary." Everyone leaned forward. "This person doesn't know I helped them," Jordan said. "They never signed an NDA because they never knew I was involved. And when you hear who it is, you'll understand why this is the secret I've carried the longest." Jordan pulled out one more file from his box. "This," he said, "is the story I've never told anyone. The one that might finally let me forgive myself. Jordan opened the file slowly, his hands trembling slightly. Inside were photographs, documents, and what looked like newspaper clippings dating back decades. During that fight with my father in 1993, Jordan began, he wasn't just telling me to take a break from basketball. He was asking me to do something specific, to help someone specific. He pulled out an old photograph and placed it on the table. It showed a young boy, maybe 10 years old, with a bright smile and basketball in his hands. "This is Marcus Johnson," Jordan said. "He was 10 years old when this photo was taken. He lived in Wilmington, North Carolina, my hometown. His parents were killed in a car accident in the summer of 1993. Diana felt her chest tighten. She could see where this was going. "My father had been mentoring Marcus," Jordan continued, "taking him to games, helping him with homework, being a father figure. After Marcus's parents died, he was heading into foster care. My father came to me and asked me to help, to set up a trust fund, to make sure Marcus had a future." Jordan's voice cracked, and I said no. The room was silent. Carlos shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Keisha covered her mouth with her hand. "I told my father I didn't know this kid, that it wasn't my responsibility, that people would take advantage of me if I started helping every person with a sad story." Jordan closed his eyes. "I was so focused on my career, on the media pressure, on defending myself from gambling allegations. I didn't want another complication, so I refused." "Oh, Michael," Diana whispered. "3 weeks later, my father was murdered." Jordan's voice dropped to barely a whisper, and I realized that Marcus, this kid I'd dismissed, was now completely alone. No parents, no grandparents, no James Jordan to look after him. Jordan explained what happened next. Consumed by guilt, unable to sleep, he'd hired private investigators to find Marcus. The boy had been placed in a temporary foster home, waiting for permanent placement. "I made a decision," Jordan said. "I would do what my father had asked, but I would do it in a way that nobody, especially Marcus, would ever know I was involved." Through intermediaries and lawyers, Jordan had arranged everything. He'd found a good foster family in Wilmington. Helen and Robert Carson, a childless couple in their 40s who'd always wanted children. He'd secretly paid them to take Marcus in, disguising it as an increased foster care stipend from the state. "I paid for everything," Jordan said. "His clothes, his school supplies, his basketball camps, his medical care. When Marcus needed tutoring, I paid for it. When he wanted to go to college, I made sure he got scholarships. Real ones that he earned, but I made sure the right people saw his applications." Carlos leaned forward. "How much did you spend? Over 30 years. Probably close to $500,000. Jordan shrugged. "But I never met him. I never spoke to him. I watched from a distance through reports from my lawyers and investigators." He pulled out more documents, report cards, basketball statistics, college transcripts, job records. "Marcus graduated from UNC Chapel Hill in 2005 with a degree in social work," Jordan said, pride creeping into his voice. "He could have played college basketball. He was that good, but he chose a different path. He became a social worker specializing in foster care. He's now the director of a foster care advocacy organization in North Carolina called New Beginnings." Jordan showed them a recent newspaper article. The headline read, "Local hero works to reform foster care system." There was a photo of Marcus Johnson, now in his early 40s, handsome and professional-looking, surrounded by children at a community center. "He's helped thousands of kids find good homes," Jordan said. "He's lobbied the state legislature for better foster care funding. He's changed the system from the inside. He's become exactly the kind of man my father would have been proud of." "And he has no idea you're behind any of it?" Keisha asked. "None. He thinks he got lucky with a good foster family. He thinks his scholarships were merit-based. He tells his story all the time. I had nothing, but I worked hard and look where I am now. He's living proof to other foster kids that success is possible." Diana understood immediately. If he knew the truth, it would destroy that story. "Exactly," Jordan said. "Marcus's whole life is built on the belief that he made it on his own. That hard work and determination can overcome any obstacle. If he found out that a billionaire basketball player arranged his entire life, it would shatter everything he believes about himself. It would make his success feel like a lie. Marcus Webb, the journalist, spoke up for the first time. So you've watched him for 32 years, paid for his entire life, made sure he succeeded, and never once told him? Never, Jordan confirmed, and I never will. But you're telling us, Diana said. Why? Jordan looked around the table at each of them. Because I need someone to know. When I die, someone needs to know what I did. Someone needs to know that I finally learned what my father tried to teach me. That real giving means letting go of everything. Even recognition. Even gratitude. He pulled out one more document, a sealed envelope. This is a letter I wrote to Marcus. It explains everything. After I die, my lawyers have instructions to give it to him. But only after. Only when it won't change who he thinks he is. The weight of this revelation settled over everyone. Jordan had spent 3 decades secretly supporting a man who would never know, never say thank you, never acknowledge the gift. It was the purest form of charity imaginable and the loneliest. That's the real secret, Jordan said. Not that I helped people, not that I did it to ease my guilt, but that my greatest act of charity is the one I can never take credit for. The one where I watch someone else live the life I gave them and never hear thank you. Diana felt tears streaming down her face. This was what Jordan had meant on the phone. This was what he'd been carrying all these years. Does this go in the story? Carlos asked Marcus Webb. Marcus looked uncomfortable. I don't know. Jordan's telling us, but Jordan interrupted. Marcus Johnson's name never appears in any article. You never identify him. You can mention that I helped someone anonymously, someone who still doesn't know. But you protect his identity. Why are you telling us then? David asked. Jordan smiled sadly. Because I needed you to understand. I needed the people I did tell, the people who signed NDAs and carried the burden. I needed you to know that at least one person got to live free of that burden. At least one person got my help without the weight of obligation or secrecy. That's beautiful, Keisha said softly. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Jordan shook his head. It's not beautiful. It's selfish. Because even helping Marcus secretly, I did it for me, to prove something to myself, to earn forgiveness from a dead man who already forgave me. Diana stood up again. She walked around the table and knelt beside Jordan's chair, taking his hands in hers. Michael, listen to me. I've spent 27 years wondering if my success was real or given to me. I've carried guilt about keeping secrets. I've felt lonely and isolated and fake. She squeezed his hands. But right now, looking at what you did for Marcus, I realize something. Your reasons don't matter. Selfish, selfless, guilty, noble. It doesn't matter. You changed lives. You saved lives. That's real. That's what counts. Carlos joined her. Man, I thought I understood what you did for me. But this? Helping someone for 30 years and never getting any credit? Never getting to see their gratitude? That's next level. Keisha nodded. You're the most stubborn, complicated man I've ever met. But you're also the kindest, even if you don't believe it. David added quietly. In my culture, we say, the best charity is that which the left hand gives and the right hand doesn't know. You lived that with Marcus. You gave without your own ego knowing. Jordan looked at all of them, these people whose lives he'd changed, and something in his face shifted. The shame and guilt that had marked his expression began to ease. Thank you, he said simply. Thank you for understanding what I couldn't understand myself. Marcus Webb cleared his throat. So what do we do now? The press conference is in 2 hours. What story do we tell? Jordan straightened up, wiping his eyes. We tell the truth about my father, about my guilt, about helping you four, about my flawed motives and my need for redemption. We tell it all. And Marcus Johnson? Diana asked. We mention that there are others I've helped who don't know it. But we never name him. We never give details that could identify him. That's the one secret that stays secret. Everyone nodded in agreement. Jordan stood up and walked to the window. Below, the United Center's basketball court gleamed under the lights. I haven't played here in years, he said. But every time I come back, I remember that night in 1995. Diana, you were the first person I helped this way. Did you know that? Diana joined him at the window. I wondered. Seeing you cry over that sketchbook, something clicked in me. I thought, this is it. This is how I honor Dad. This is how I prove I'm not the selfish person I was during our fight. Jordan glanced at her. You started a chain reaction. After you, I couldn't stop. Carlos, Keisha, David, Marcus, and a dozen others over the years through various foundations and intermediaries. A dozen others? Carlos asked, surprised. At least, some I met once, some I never met at all, some know about me, some don't, some succeeded, some… Jordan's voice trailed off. Some I couldn't save, no matter how much money I threw at their problems. You can't solve everything with cash. I learned that the hard way. The room was quiet for a moment, everyone absorbing this. Lily, who'd been silent throughout the meeting, finally spoke. Mr. Jordan, can I ask you something? Jordan turned to her. Of course. Do you still miss your dad? The directness of the question, the innocence, made Jordan smile every single day. Do you think he'd be proud of you now? Jordan considered this. For years, he would have said no. For years, he'd believed his father died disappointed in him. But now, looking around this room at the people whose lives he'd changed, at Diana and her daughter, at Carlos, who'd escaped gang life, at Keisha, who'd built a career, at David, who'd created a business empire, maybe the answer was different. I think, Jordan said slowly, he'd say I took the long way around. He'd say I made it too complicated. He'd say I should have just been kind without keeping score, without needing redemption, without all the secrecy. He smiled. But yeah, I think he'd be proud. Lily smiled back. Good, because my mom says you're a hero, and heroes should know their dads are proud of them. Jordan laughed, a real, genuine laugh that seemed to surprise even him. Your mom is pretty great herself, you know. Have you seen her paintings? All of them, Lily said proudly. She's the best artist I know. She was always going to be great, Jordan said, looking at Diana. I just made sure she got the chance to prove it. Marcus Webb checked his watch. We should start preparing for the press conference. Jordan, do you want to review what you're going to say? No, Jordan said. I'm just going to tell the truth. No script, no prepared remarks, just the truth. They spent the next hour going over logistics, where everyone would stand, what questions might be asked, how to handle the media frenzy that would inevitably follow. Diana felt her stomach churning with nervousness. In 1 hour, her face would be on television. Her story would be on the internet. Her secret would belong to the world. Are you okay? Jordan asked her quietly while the others talked with Marcus. Terrified, Diana admitted. Me too. Jordan smiled, but also relieved. I've been carrying this for 33 years. Since my father died. I'm tired, Diana. Tired of secrets. Tired of guilt. Tired of keeping score. What are you going to do after this? Diana asked. After the story breaks? Jordan thought about it. I'm going to start a foundation. A public one, with my name on it. No more hiding, no more NDAs. I'm going to help people openly, honestly, without needing them to be my secret therapy. That sounds healthy, Diana said with a smile. You 4 should be on the board, Jordan said suddenly. You know what it's like to receive help. You know what it's like to carry the burden. You'd know how to do it right. Carlos overheard this. Man, I'm an engineer. I don't know anything about running a foundation. You know about second chances, Jordan countered. That's what matters. Keisha grinned. I like this idea. The Jordan Foundation, run by the people he secretly helped. That's poetic. David nodded. I would be honored. Diana felt something shift inside her. For 27 years, she'd been a passive recipient of Jordan's charity. But now, she could be active. She could help other people get their own chances. She could turn her experience into something that helped others. Yes, she said. I'm in. Marcus Webb stood up. It's time. The press is assembled. There are cameras from every major network. Are you ready? Jordan looked around the room one last time. At Diana, Carlos, Keisha, and David. At Lily, representing the next generation. At Marcus, who would tell their story. I'm ready, Jordan said. Let's go tell the world the truth. They walked together through the corridors of the United Center, toward the press room where dozens of journalists and cameras waited. Diana held Lily's hand tightly. Mom, Lily whispered. After today, everything changes. I know, baby. Are you scared? Diana thought about it. Was she scared? Yes, but she was also free. For the first time in 27 years, she was about to be completely, totally free. Not scared, Diana said. Ready. Finally, Frumi ready. They reached the press room doors. On the other side, Diana could hear the murmur of voices, the clicking of cameras. Jordan looked at each of them one more time. "Thank you," he said, "for keeping my secrets, for understanding my guilt, for forgiving my flaws, and for being brave enough to stand with me now." He pushed open the doors, and they walked into the light. The press room exploded with noise. Camera flashes went off like lightning. Reporters shouted questions before Jordan even reached the podium. Diana felt Lily's hand tighten in hers as they walked onto the stage. "Mr. Jordan, is it true you've been secretly helping people?" "Michael, who are these people with you? Are the rumors about hidden charity true?" Jordan raised his hand, and gradually the room quieted. He stood at the podium, flanked by Diana, Carlos, Keisha, and David. Marcus Webb sat off to the side, his recorder ready. "Thank you all for coming," Jordan began. His voice was steady, but Diana could see his hands gripping the podium tightly. "I'm here today to tell you a true story about guilt, redemption, and the people who saved my life by letting me save theirs." The room was completely silent now. Every camera was focused on Jordan's face. In 1993, my father, James Jordan, was murdered. Most of you know this. What you don't know is that the last real conversation I had with my father was a fight. The worst fight of our lives. Diana watched as Jordan's composure cracked slightly. She could see the pain in his eyes. Pain that had lived there for 33 years. My father told me I was losing myself. That I cared more about winning championships than being a good man. That I was becoming someone he didn't recognize. Jordan paused, and I told him that he'd never achieved anything great, so he couldn't understand what I was going through. I told him that helping people was easy, but greatness was hard. I told him that his values were old-fashioned and didn't apply to my life. A reporter in the front row gasped softly. This was raw, unfiltered truth. 3 weeks later, he was dead, and I was left with words I could never take back, with a fight I could never resolve, with guilt that ate me alive every single day. Jordan gestured to Diana and the others. These 4 people standing with me today, Diana Reeves, Carlos Martinez, Keisha Williams, and David Chen, they saved my life. Cameras swiveled to capture their faces. Diana felt exposed, vulnerable, but she stood tall. "I didn't save them," Jordan continued. "They saved me, by letting me help them, by accepting my charity, by keeping my secrets. They gave me a way to honor my father's memory, a way to prove that I'd learned what he tried to teach me." Jordan told Diana's story first, the sketchbook, the meeting, the scholarship, the NDA. As he spoke, Diana felt tears streaming down her face. Hearing their story from his perspective made it feel both more real and more surreal. Diana was 15 years old, Jordan said, talented beyond measure, poor beyond belief. Her mother worked 2 jobs. They lived in a tiny apartment. Diana's biggest dream was to attend art school, but they couldn't afford it. He looked directly at Diana. "I made her sign a non-disclosure agreement. I made her promise never to tell anyone I'd helped her. And for 27 years, she kept that promise. Even when people questioned how she got into art school. Even when her mother was dying and Diana wanted to thank me publicly. Even at her mother's funeral, she kept the secret." Jordan's voice broke. "And I realize now how cruel that was, how lonely that must have been. I thought I was protecting her dignity. I thought I was making sure her success would be her own. But really, I was protecting myself. I was making sure nobody knew how desperately I needed to help people, how much I needed redemption." A reporter raised her hand. "Mr. Jordan, are you saying your charity was selfish?" Jordan smiled sadly. "Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I helped these people because I needed to, because every success they had was another point toward my forgiveness. I kept files on them. I tracked their achievements. I kept score like charity was just another game I needed to win." Carlos stepped forward to the microphone. "Can I say something?" Jordan nodded and stepped aside. Carlos looked out at the sea of cameras and reporters. Diana could see him shaking. "My name is Carlos Martinez. 23 years ago, I was 16 years old, sitting in juvenile detention for gang-related crimes. I wrote Michael Jordan a letter from jail. I don't even know why. I just needed someone to hear me say that I wanted to be different." He explained how Jordan had responded through lawyers, how he'd funded Carlos's education, how Carlos had signed an NDA just like Diana. For 23 years, I've built my career as an engineer, Carlos said. I've designed bridges, buildings, infrastructure projects, and every single day, someone asks me, how did you go from gang member to engineer? And every single day I lie. I tell them hard work and determination. I tell them I got lucky with scholarships. I never tell them that Michael Jordan paid for everything. Carlos turned to look at Jordan. And you know what? I'm not mad about it. Because he was right. If people knew, they'd say I didn't earn my success. They'd say I only made it because of his money. But I did earn it. Yes, he opened doors. But I walked through them. I did the work. I earned my degree. I earned my career. His voice grew stronger. So yeah, maybe Jordan's motives were complicated. Maybe he needed redemption. Maybe he was keeping score. But you know what? I'm alive because of him. I have a wife and 3 kids because of him. I've built things that will stand for 100 years because of him. So I don't care why he did it. I only care that he did. The room erupted with more questions, but Carlos stepped back. Keisha moved forward next. I'm Keisha Williams, she said into the microphone. Single mother, nurse. Alive today because Michael Jordan paid my medical bills and funded my nursing education 18 years ago. She told her story. The fight at the basketball game, the injury, the anonymous donor. My sons are in the audience today, Keisha said, gesturing to 2 young men sitting in the front row. They're 23 and 21. Until this week, they thought their mama did it all on her own. They thought I was Superwoman. Keisha's voice cracked, and I was terrified to tell them the truth. Terrified they'd think less of me for accepting help. But you know what my oldest son said when I told him? He said, Mom, knowing you needed help and accepted it makes you stronger, not weaker. You didn't give up. You found a way. She wiped her eyes. Michael Jordan gave me a way, and I took it, and I made something of myself. Both things are true. I needed help, and I succeeded. Those aren't contradictions. That's life. David spoke last. His story was brief but powerful. A refugee who'd lost everything, been helped by a stranger, and built a restaurant empire. I thought I was lucky, David said simply. Now I know I was chosen. Chosen by a man who saw potential in a homeless refugee with a broken food cart. I will spend the rest of my life paying that forward. When David stepped back, Jordan returned to the microphone. These 4 people have lived with the burden of secrecy for years. Decades, in some cases. They couldn't tell their friends, their families, their children. They had to lie every time someone asked about their success. And I did that to them. I imposed that burden because I was ashamed of my own need for redemption. He paused, looking out at the journalists. But there's more. These aren't the only people I've helped. Over the past 33 years, I've helped dozens of people through various charities and intermediaries. Some know about my involvement, some don't. Some succeeded, some didn't. And I had to learn that you can't solve every problem with money. A reporter called out, How much money are we talking about? Jordan shrugged. Millions. I don't know the exact number. My lawyers could tell you. But it's not about the money. It's about the people. Is there anyone else who doesn't know you helped them? Another reporter asked. Someone who still doesn't know. Jordan hesitated. Diana knew he was thinking about Marcus Johnson. Yes, he said carefully. There is one person I've helped for over 30 years who doesn't know I'm involved. And they never will. That person's identity will remain protected. That's the one secret that stays secret. Why? Multiple reporters asked at once. Because their success is built on believing they did it alone. If they knew the truth, it would shatter their self-image. It would diminish everything they've accomplished. So that secret remains mine alone. Well, mine and the people in this room who now know about it. Jordan looked directly into the cameras. I'm telling you all of this, exposing my flawed motives, my guilt, my need for redemption. Because I'm tired of hiding. I'm 62 years old. I've spent 33 years trying to earn forgiveness from a dead man. And I've finally realized he already forgave me. My father loved me. Even when we fought. Even when I said terrible things, he loved me. His voice broke completely now. And these 4 people, Diana, Carlos, Keisha, David, they've helped me understand that my charity doesn't have to be perfect to matter. That helping people for complicated reasons is still helping people. That redemption isn't something you earn through a scorecard. It's something you accept. Jordan wiped his eyes. So starting today, I'm launching the Jordan Foundation. A public charity with no secrecy, no NDAs, no hidden motives. Diana, Carlos, Keisha, and David have agreed to serve on the board of directors. We're going to help people openly, honestly, and without requiring them to carry the burden of secrecy. The room exploded with questions again, but Jordan raised his hand. I'll take a few questions, but first I want to say something directly to Marcus Johnson. Diana's heart stopped. He was going to mention him by name. Marcus, Jordan said, looking into the camera, if you're watching this, and I hope you're not, but you probably are. I want you to know something. Your success is real. Everything you've accomplished, you earned. The people you've helped, the lives you've changed, the system you've reformed. That's all you. Nobody can take that away from you. You're exactly the man you think you are. He paused. And if you ever figure out that I had anything to do with your journey, I hope you'll understand why I did it the way I did. Your story needed to be yours alone. Your success needed to be unquestionable. You're living proof that the foster care system can work, that hard work matters, that kids from nothing can become something. The world needs that proof. Foster kids need that hope. Jordan's voice dropped to almost a whisper. So please, if you're watching, keep telling your story. Keep being that proof. Keep giving kids hope. That's worth more than any amount of money I ever spent. Diana felt chills running down her arms. Even now, even in this moment of total honesty, Jordan was protecting Marcus Johnson. He'd mentioned him but given no identifying details, no location, no organization name, nothing that would let reporters track him down. Now, Jordan said, his voice returning to normal volume, I'll take questions. Hands shot up across the room. Jordan pointed to a woman in the second row. Mr. Jordan, do you regret making these people sign NDAs? Jordan looked at Diana, Carlos, Keisha, and David, yes and no. The NDAs served a purpose at the time. They protected everyone involved. But yes, I regret the burden it placed on them. The loneliness, the lying. If I could do it over, I'd find a different way. Another reporter. Why come forward now? Why not keep the secret forever? Because a journalist named Marcus Webb was going to publish the story whether I cooperated or not, Jordan said honestly, and I decided it was time. Time to stop hiding. Time to tell the truth about my father, my guilt, and my flawed attempts at redemption. Marcus Webb raised his hand. Mr. Jordan, for the record, I want to say that you didn't have to participate. You could have let me publish without your cooperation. The fact that you chose to tell your own story, in your own words, speaks to your courage. Jordan nodded his appreciation. A young reporter in the back called out, What would your father think if he could see this press conference? Jordan smiled, a real smile that lit up his whole face. He'd probably say I'm overthinking everything, like always. He'd say I should have just been kind without needing a whole psychological justification for it. His smile faded slightly. But I think he'd be proud. I hope he'd be proud. For the next hour, Jordan fielded questions. Diana, Carlos, Keisha, and David each spoke several times, sharing more details about their experiences. The reporters were respectful, even reverent. This wasn't a scandal story. This was a story about humanity, flaws, and the complicated nature of giving and receiving. Finally, Jordan wrapped it up. Thank you all for being here. More information about the Jordan Foundation will be available next week. For now, I just want to say, if you're someone who needs help, ask for it. If you're someone who can give help, give it. Don't worry about your motives being perfect. Don't worry about getting credit. Just help. That's what my father tried to teach me. It took me 33 years to learn it, but I finally did. He stepped back from the podium. The room erupted in applause, something Diana had never seen at a press conference. Reporters weren't supposed to clap, but they did anyway. As they walked off the stage, Diana felt lighter than she had in decades. The secret was out. The burden was lifted. She was free. Lily hugged her tightly. Mom, you were amazing. I barely said anything, Diana laughed. You didn't have to. You just had to stand there and be honest. That's what mattered. Outside the press room, away from cameras, Jordan pulled Diana aside. Thank you, he said quietly, for keeping your promise all these years, for understanding, for forgiving me. "Thank you for changing my life," Diana replied, "for seeing a crying 15-year-old and deciding she was worth saving." "You were always worth saving," Jordan said. "I just gave you a chance to prove it." They stood there for a moment, two people whose lives had intersected in the most unlikely way and had been forever changed by it. "What happens now?" Diana asked. Jordan smiled. "Now we go live our lives, honestly, openly, without secrets. And we help other people do the same." "I can't wait," Diana said. And for the first time in 27 years, she meant it completely. 3 days later, Diana sat in her hotel room, scrolling through her phone. The press conference had gone viral. Every news outlet in the country was covering the story. Michael Jordan's secret charity, the hidden beneficiaries, basketball legend's 33-year quest for redemption. But the coverage wasn't what Diana had feared. It wasn't mean or dismissive. Most articles praised Jordan's generosity. Most praised Diana, Carlos, Keisha, and David for their achievements. The narrative wasn't people who only succeed because of handouts. It was people who took a chance and made something beautiful out of it. Diana's phone buzzed constantly. Friends from art school, former colleagues, people she hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone wanted to talk, to congratulate her, to tell her they'd always known she was special. Some messages hurt. A few former competitors suggested Diana's success had been bought, not earned. A couple of harsh comments online called her a charity case and said her art wasn't really hers. But those voices were drowned out by support. Lily sat on the bed next to her reading comments on social media. "Mom, listen to this one. Diana Reeves's paintings hang in 3 museums. That's not luck, that's talent. Michael Jordan gave her a door. She built the whole house herself." Diana smiled. "That's nice. And this one, I've been to her gallery in Charlotte. Her work is incredible." Stop diminishing her accomplishment just because she had help getting started. "People are being kind," Diana said, surprised. "Most people get it, Mom. They understand that accepting help doesn't make you weak. It makes you smart." There was a knock at the door. Diana opened it to find Jordan standing there, looking tired but peaceful. "Can I come in?" he asked. "Of course." Jordan entered, nodding at Lily. "Would you mind giving us a few minutes?" "Sure, Mr. Jordan. I'll go grab coffee." Lily grabbed her jacket and left. Jordan sat down in the chair by the window. "I wanted to check on you. See how you're handling everything." "Better than I expected," Diana admitted. "The response has been mostly positive. A few negative comments, but nothing I can't handle." "Good." I was worried. Jordan looked out the window at the Chicago skyline. "I've been doing interviews all day. Every network wants to talk. It's exhausting, but also freeing, like I've been holding my breath for 30 years and finally exhaled." "I know exactly what you mean," Diana said. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Jordan spoke again, his voice quieter. "There's something else I need to tell you. Something I didn't say at the press conference." Diana leaned forward. "What is it?" "It's about Marcus Johnson, the person I helped who doesn't know." Jordan's hands clasped together tightly. "He figured it out." Diana's eyes widened. "What, how?" "He called my office this morning. Said he saw the press conference. Said some things I mentioned. The timeline, the details about foster care in North Carolina, the descriptions of someone who became a social worker. He put it together." Jordan's voice was heavy. "He knows." "Oh, Michael." Diana's heart broke for him. "What did he say?" Jordan pulled out his phone and played a voicemail. A man's voice, calm but emotional, filled the room. "Mr. Jordan, this is Marcus Johnson. I think I'm the person you were talking about. The one who doesn't know. Except now I do know. I've spent the last 3 days going through records, talking to my foster parents, calling the lawyer who handled my trust fund. It all leads back to you." There was a long pause in the recording. Diana could hear Marcus breathing, gathering courage to continue. "I don't know how to feel right now. Angry, grateful, confused, all of it. My whole life, I've told people I made it on my own. That hard work and determination can overcome anything. I've been a symbol for foster kids, proof that the system can work. And now I find out it was all arranged, paid for? That I'm not actually proof of anything, except that having a secret billionaire benefactor makes life easier." Marcus's voice cracked. "But then I think about the kids I've helped. The hundreds of foster children who found good homes because of my organization. The reforms we've pushed through, the lives we've changed. That's real, right? That wasn't bought. I did that. We did that. Another pause. I need time to process this. But I wanted you to know, I figured it out. Your secret isn't a secret anymore. At least not from me. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to thank you. But I wanted you to know that despite everything, despite the confusion and the anger and the questions, I'm glad I had the chance to do the work I've done. And that wouldn't have happened without you. So, thank you, I think. Maybe. The voicemail ended. Diana wiped tears from her eyes. What are you going to do? I called him back, Jordan said. We talked for 2 hours. It was the hardest conversation I've had since that fight with my father. What did you say? Jordan stood and walked to the window. I told him the truth, all of it. About my father's request that I help him, about my refusal, about my guilt after Dad died, about how I've watched Marcus from a distance for 32 years, tracking every success, every milestone, every life he touched. How did he react? He was angry at first. Said I robbed him of his story. Said I took away his ability to say he made it on his own. Jordan's reflection in the window looked haunted. But then I asked him a question. I said, did I put in the hours you spent studying? Did I write your college papers? Did I interview for your jobs? Did I counsel the thousands of kids you've helped? Did I lobby the legislature for foster care reform? Did I build your organization? Diana understood. You gave him resources, but he did the work. Exactly. And slowly, he started to see it that way too. Jordan turned back to face Diana. We talked about what success really means. Whether it's diminished by having help, whether anyone truly makes it completely alone. What did you conclude? That everyone has help, whether they acknowledge it or not. Some people have wealthy parents, some have good schools, some have connections, some have natural advantages. Marcus had me, secretly funding his path. You had me, opening doors. But both of you still had to walk through those doors and prove yourselves on the other side. Jordan sat back down. Marcus asked me not to reveal his identity publicly. He wants to tell his story himself, in his own time, when he's ready. I agreed. That's good, Diana said. He deserves to control his own narrative. He also said something that surprised me. Jordan smiled slightly. He said, Mr. Jordan, you spent 32 years watching me succeed so you could feel less guilty about fighting with your father. Well, I've spent 32 years helping kids find good homes so I could feel less guilty about having loving foster parents when so many kids don't. Maybe we're not that different. Maybe we both needed to save other people to save ourselves. Diana felt chills. That's profound. It made me realize something, Jordan said. I've been so focused on my flawed motives, helping people to ease my guilt, that I missed something important. Most people who help others do it partly for themselves. It makes them feel good. It gives them purpose. It eases their conscience about having more than others. He looked at Diana intently. And that's okay. That's human. The help is still real, even if the motives are complicated. The changed lives still matter, even if the helper needed something too. Diana nodded slowly. I've been thinking about that a lot since the press conference. About giving and receiving. About how messy and complicated it all is. What have you concluded? That there's no such thing as pure charity. The giver always gets something, tax write-offs, good feelings, reputation, guilt relief, whatever. And the receiver always gives something, gratitude, the satisfaction of being helped, validation that the giver is a good person. Diana smiled. It's a transaction, just a more beautiful one than buying and selling products. Jordan laughed. That's a cynical way to look at it. Maybe. Or maybe it's honest. Maybe accepting that giving and receiving both serve needs on both sides makes it more real, not less. They talked for another hour, about the foundation Jordan was setting up, about Diana's role on the board, about how they'd help people without burdening them with secrecy or guilt. I want to do this differently, Jordan said. No NDAs, no secret files, no tracking people's achievements. We help someone, we tell them clearly what we're providing, and then we let them go. Their success or failure is theirs alone. That sounds healthier, Diana agreed. I've also been thinking about Marcus, both Marcus Johnson and Marcus Webb, actually. Jordan smiled at the coincidence of names. Marcus Webb said something interesting. He said the reason this story resonates isn't because I helped people. Rich people help people all the time. The reason it resonates is because I was honest about my flawed motives, about needing redemption, about keeping score. He's right, Diana said. The vulnerability is what makes it powerful. So I want the foundation to encourage that honesty. When we help someone, we're honest about why. Maybe we're helping because it makes us feel good. Maybe because we got help once and want to pay it forward. Maybe because we feel guilty about having so much. Whatever the reason, we say it out loud. Diana loved this idea. And the people we help, we encourage them to be honest too. About needing help, about accepting it. About the messy, complicated feelings that come with being someone's charity case. Exactly. Jordan leaned forward. Diana, I want you to lead this part of the foundation. You've lived it. You understand the burden of secrecy, the guilt of accepting help, the fear of being diminished. You can help us do this right. Diana felt overwhelmed. Michael, I'm just an artist. I run a small gallery. I don't know anything about running a foundation. You know the most important thing, what it feels like to be on the receiving end. That's what matters. Jordan's expression was earnest. Please, help me do this right. Help me honor my father's memory by building something that actually works. Diana thought about her mother, Patricia, about those long years working 2 jobs, about the relief on her face when Diana got into art school, about Patricia's dying words. Don't let this secret eat you up inside. Okay, Diana said, I'll do it. Jordan smiled, a genuine warm smile that transformed his whole face. Thank you. There was a knock at the door. Lily was back with coffee, along with Carlos, Keisha, and David. Sorry to interrupt, Carlos said, but we were all having breakfast and thought we should talk about what's next. They all crowded into Diana's hotel room. Lily sat on the floor. Jordan remained in his chair. The others found spots on the bed or leaned against the walls. The press conference was 3 days ago, Keisha said. The stories everywhere. We've all been getting calls, interview requests, messages, but nobody's really told us what comes next. What do you want to come next? Jordan asked. David spoke up. I want to help other refugees start businesses. People who came here with nothing, like I did. I want to give them what you gave me, not just money, but guidance, someone who believes in them. I want to work with at-risk youth, Carlos said. Kids in gangs, kids in detention, kids who think their lives are over before they've even started. I want to show them there's another path. I want to help single mothers, Keisha added. Women working 3 jobs, trying to raise kids, feeling like they're drowning. I want to tell them, you can accept help and still be strong. You can need support and still be a good mother. Everyone looked at Diana. I want to help young artists, she said. Kids with talent but no resources. Kids like I was. I want to give them what Michael gave me, a chance. But I want to do it honestly, openly, without making them carry secrets. Jordan nodded at each of them. Then that's what we'll do. The Jordan Foundation will have 4 main programs, each led by one of you. You'll design them, run them, make them work. What about you? Diana asked. What's your role? I'll fund it. I'll do press. I'll use my name to open doors. Jordan smiled. But the real work? That's yours. You've lived these experiences. You know what works and what doesn't. I trust you. For the next 2 hours they planned. Carlos would create a mentorship program for at-risk youth. Keisha would establish support systems for struggling single parents. David would set up business incubators for refugees and immigrants. Diana would create art scholarships and mentorship programs for talented young artists from low-income backgrounds. We launch in 6 months, Jordan said. That gives us time to set everything up properly, to learn from other foundations' mistakes, to build something sustainable. As the meeting wrapped up, Marcus Webb arrived. He'd been interviewing each of them individually for follow-up articles. I have news, Marcus said, slightly out of breath. Marcus Johnson just released a statement. Everyone froze. Jordan looked nervous. What does it say? Marcus pulled out his phone and read. My name is Marcus Johnson. I am the director of New Beginnings Foster Care Organization in North Carolina. I am also the person Michael Jordan referred to in his press conference, the one he helped for 32 years without my knowledge. Jordan closed his eyes. Diana reached over and took his hand. Marcus continued reading. When I learned the truth, I was angry. I felt like my story had been taken from me, like my success wasn't really mine. But after reflection, I realized something important. Michael Jordan gave me resources, but I did the work. He opened doors, but I walked through them. He made opportunities possible, but I made them real. I've helped thousands of foster children find good homes. I've reformed parts of a broken system. I've given hope to kids who had none. That's my achievement. That's my story. The fact that I had help getting started doesn't diminish it. If anything, it makes the story more honest. Because the truth is, everyone needs help. Everyone stands on someone else's shoulders. The only difference is whether we're honest about it. Thank you. To my foster parents, the Carsons, thank you. To everyone who helped me along the way, thank you. And to every foster kid reading this, accept help when it's offered. Work hard with what you're given. And one day, when you've made it, help the next person up. That's how we change the world. One helped person at a time. The room was silent. Jordan had tears streaming down his face. He understood, Jordan whispered. He actually understood. Diana squeezed his hand. Of course he did, because you helped him become someone who understands these things. Someone who sees the complexity and the beauty in giving and receiving. Jordan wiped his eyes and laughed. My father would have liked him. Marcus Johnson. Dad would have said, see, Michael, that's what I was trying to tell you. Help people not because you need something from them, but because they need something from you. And trust them to do the rest. Your father sounds like he was a wise man, Keisha said softly. He was, and I was too stupid to listen. Jordan stood up. But I'm listening now. Finally, after 33 years, I'm finally listening. He looked around the room at all of them. Diana, Carlos, Keisha, David, Lily, Marcus Webb. Thank you, all of you, for helping me understand what my father was trying to teach me, for forgiving my flawed attempts at redemption, for standing with me while I told the truth. Thank you for changing our lives, Diana said. No, Jordan replied. Thank you for letting me. Thank you for accepting help without shame. Thank you for doing something beautiful with what you were given. Thank you for teaching me that giving and receiving are both acts of courage. They stood there together in Diana's hotel room, this unlikely group connected by secrets and charity, and the messy, complicated truth of human need and human generosity. Later that evening, after everyone had left, Diana and Lily took one more walk to the United Center. The arena was closed, dark, quiet, but Diana didn't need to go inside. She could remember everything from that night 27 years ago. Mom, Lily said, are you happy this all came out? Diana thought about it. 27 years of secrecy, 27 years of lying, 27 years of wondering if her success was real. All of it ended now. Yes, she said. I'm happy, I'm free. For the first time since I was 15 years old, I'm completely, totally free. What are you going to do with that freedom? Diana smiled. I'm going to help other people find theirs. I'm going to tell young artists that accepting help doesn't make you weak, that standing on someone's shoulders doesn't make your view less beautiful, that we all need each other, and that's not a flaw in the system. It's the whole point. They stood outside the United Center, mother and daughter, looking up at the building where everything had changed. Your grandmother would be proud, Lily said. I think so too, Diana replied. I think she's somewhere watching all of this and saying, about damn time you told the truth, baby. They laughed together, the sound echoing off the walls of the empty arena. Diana pulled out her phone and took a picture of the United Center. Then she posted it on social media with a caption. This is where my life changed, where I learned that accepting help is brave, where I learned that giving and receiving are both acts of love, where I learned that secrets are heavy, but truth sets you free. Thank you, Michael Jordan. Thank you for seeing a 15-year-old girl with a sketchbook and deciding she was worth saving. Thank you for teaching me that success isn't about doing it alone, it's about accepting help with grace and paying it forward with generosity. Here's to honest giving. Here's to humble receiving. Here's to all of us helping each other up. The Jordan Foundation Truth and Grace, within minutes, the post had thousands of likes and comments. Diana didn't read them all. She didn't need to. She knew the truth now, and the truth was enough. As they walked back to their hotel, Lily asked one more question. Mom, what's the most important thing you learned from all of this? Diana thought for a long time before answering. That Michael Jordan didn't save me. He gave me tools, but I built the life. And that's true for everyone. Nobody can save you. But someone can give you a chance. And if you're brave enough to take it, strong enough to use it, and grateful enough to pass it on, that's when miracles happen. That's beautiful, Mom. It's true. And after 27 years of lying, I'm done with anything that isn't true. They walked the rest of the way in silence, both of them thinking about secrets and truth, about giving and receiving, about the complicated, beautiful mess of being human. Tomorrow, they'd fly back to Charlotte, back to the gallery, back to normal life. Except nothing would be normal anymore. Everything had changed. But this time, Diana wasn't scared of change. This time, she was ready for it. For the first time in 27 years, she was ready for anything. So now you know the truth. The secret Michael Jordan tried to hide for 27 years. A story about guilt, redemption, and the complicated beauty of helping others. Before you go, we want to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. We love hearing from our viewers around the world. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. It helps us spread these powerful messages of kindness to more people who need to hear them. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We share incredible true stories that remind us all to be better, to help others, and to never underestimate the power of one act of kindness. There's another amazing story waiting for you right now. Click on the video appearing on your screen. Trust us, you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. Keep spreading kindness. We'll see you in the next one.